Welcome in, everybody, to the final race of PGR Lite Season number 1, the championship event we've got on deck for you tonight, the Next Gens at Daytona. We're going to be seeing these a lot this week, but here they are. These guys are going to be fighting it out to see if they can be the first ever Lite Series champion. Joining me in the booth once again is Dawson Wise. Dawson, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I'll try to keep it brief, obviously, as we get ready to go green, but look, excited. Love to see the next-gen cars out. It's a last-minute change last week. Obviously, you're going to see a lot of them this week. You're going to hear a lot of my voice this week as well, so get used to it. But no, such a fun event. The Lite Series has been fun. I've run a lot of the races. Did not make the Championship 8, so decided to jump up here and get some reps in before the PGR 500.
Yep, sounds good to all of us out here. Not enough time to go through the grid, unfortunately. They will be rolling through on the left side of your screen. The highlighted guys, I say highlighted, they're not so much highlighted as they have a letter next to their name. Austin Green, Wyatt Gray, David Flanagan, Michael Triscaro, Freddie Bazinez, Evan Carlbon, Stephen Miles, and Joshua McCullough will be competing for a championship here tonight. And before we pull anything else up, let me go ahead and go through the race info so y'all can see this. Next gen cars, as stated, 60 laps, 70% in the tanks, 3 tire sets, no fast repair fix setups, and 3 green-white checkers if we need them. We're going to go ahead and show you a graphic right here so you can maybe understand what the payout system is going to look like. So the flyer for tonight, this is going to be the normal payouts of the race: 150, 115, 175, and 50. That is the standard thing. Then we have the champions. The top 4 are going to be paid here tonight. 500 to the champion, 200 to the runner-up, 130 to third place, and 100 to fourth place. So lots of money being tossed around here tonight, Dawson.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously you talk about the championship money as well, and look, if one of these 8 guys comes away with a race victory as well, we're talking about serious payouts. And what would you do to win $650? A nice prelude question to the question of the week, which is going to be, what would you do to win $2,000 come next Sunday? So it kind of works out really well the way the format has lended itself to the PGR 500 event this week as well.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Well, the field's going to be rolling into turn 4 right here for Wyatt Gray, already getting a good start for his championship efforts here. Starting it on pole, Sean Corbett next to him, followed by Brian Hennings. Axel Smith, what an effort by him. And then Chris Melton is the top 5 as we are going to go green flag racing. It's kind of a short championship race. There are only 60 laps tonight, 10 more than the usual. But we're in for a ton of fun here. I know it for sure. Wyatt Gray, Sean Corbett leading them to the box this time. Pace car has rolled in for 60 laps of action here at the Talladega Superspeedway. The PGR Lite Series champion will be decided right here, right now. Here they are into the box. The green flag is in the starter's hand, and the green flag is out. We're racing here at Talladega. Already a little strange of a start here. Wyatt Gray has fallen back to the 5th position, and so far the bottom line is dominant heading into 1. That's something we don't usually see here.
Well, I'll tell you what happened, Landon, is Wyatt Gray tried to drag that top line down the side draft, which if you've watched any of the PGR Intimidator Superspeedway series, and if you watch any of the events this week, the guys that know this car, the guys that run it a lot, and the guys that know how to make it work will bring lines down the side draft, and I don't think the guys behind Wyatt Gray in that case are either used to it or know that it affects the lines the way they work. They did not come down. The line fell backwards. Now Wyatt Gray's got a couple helpers in front of him in the form of a couple of the championship competitors, David Flanagan, Michael Triscaro, and that line starts to roll because they know about the side draft. It's going to be key to me for some of these championship guys to utilize the side draft, get that top line working, and boy, does it work so far. It's Jack Shack entry, David Flanagan that will lead lap 2. Michael Triscaro all over him. Some new colors aboard the 34 tonight as well.
New colors for Triscaro, 2 of our champ guys, 3 of them actually, followed by Gray, the top 3 in the race right now. Sean Corbett Brian Hennings, Chris Melton following suit. But like you said, the side draft is extremely powerful in these cars. You can absolutely park the bottom lane if you need to. The right side of the car is a lot more sensitive to that side draft. It always has been. For some reason in these cars, it's always interesting. It's a weird kind of dynamic of pack racing. It's a lot different than your normal Xfinity and trucks, but it's a very fun one nonetheless. Right now we see that top line not really side drafting. They're peeking down to the middle a little bit, but the run for the bottom was not there enough for them to park it on their doors. David Flanagan's still going to be the leader heading to lap 4.
Well, it's a push and pull game. It's a timing game, right? And you'll see it happen right here. So watch the bottom. They're going to come all the way up to the leader. Now, going into 1, as they start to get that run back up, David Flanagan's going to see that. And now if he knows the side draft or has somebody in his ear, he's going to start to come down. There it is. Right on cue.
Oh, there it is.
Sean Corbett. Oh, a couple others. This is a big one out back. Several cars involved.
Oh, yeah, we saw, I think Freddie Basnez is going to be involved. Josh Jambroni, Sean Corbett, there's Michael Wingo, Austin Green involved. Brock Westmoreland killed. Austin Green still getting hit back here. Hard to keep up with how much is going on. There's Jambroni, Carl Bond involved as well, another championship contender. So there's Stephen Miles coming to a halt in the back. He's riding out back, just sticking with avoiding everything and avoiding this exact kind of situation. Let's go ahead and take a look, because it looked like Sean Corbett in the outside line got hooked. There was a little bit going on in that middle between Basnez, Green, a little miscommunication perhaps. But let's take this up to Sean Corbett, the origin of this crash. 4th on the outside line. Austin Green went down to the middle. Basnez tried to go too, and Basnez just kind of came up and hooked Sean Corbett right here in that 45 machine. Down in front of the Austin Green, Evan Carlbon nowhere to go in the 78. Brock Westmoreland, Josh Jambroni stacking it up. A few other guys here. It looks like Schreckengoss perhaps involved in the 28. James Wagner up against the wall. Tyler Vickery getting a look. Dalton Steele, Ron Morris, Brock Westmoreland inside of Sean Corbett's car. I'll tell you what, I think these championship guys, they might be getting away from this one okay. Carl Bond, it looks like, probably has the most damage of anybody. Nose and right rear on the 78 machine. Austin Green looks like he's going to get away okay. Same for Freddie Basnez. Here's a look at Green sliding it. He's going to get hit once more right there. That's not a good hit on that rear end, but still a long way to go in this race, and he will have an opportunity to get it all fixed here.
So a couple things I saw there I think that happened at once. And the first was a bit of a checkup up front. David Flanagan comes down to side draft, and the guys behind him, I'm not sure if they didn't expect it or if something went wrong, and they got on the brakes just a little, the slightest bit. And Freddie had to get on the brakes too. At the same time, Corbett. And I think at the same time, Basnez wanted to take that run to the middle with Austin Green. He saw it coming. He actually really anticipated the move well, but then he hesitated a little bit, and I think started to come back up, then was like, okay, no, I am going to go. By then, it's a split second too late. He gets on the left rear quarter panel of Corbett. It's unlucky for Basnez. I think he still was clear. The problem is Corbett in front of him had started to check up. The line had checked up in front of him. He waited a second too long, and by the time he started to go down, he gets into Corbett. It's a tough break. Several cars killed, but I think you're right. The championship guys, from what I can see, are going to be able to get it fixed. The next-gen cars are tanks. I think these guys will be okay. It looks like to me, if one of those things happens or the other thing happens, I think we get away all right. It's just they happened at the exact same time. And it spelled trouble for most of the guys towards the back of the field.
Yeah, just an unfortunate turn of events here for all these guys. I mean, we're only 4 laps in, and seemingly kind of the tune we've had this season, early crashes, especially in the next-gen car. Not an especially difficult car, but considering how runs can be in this car and people maybe letting their guard down a little bit, it's hard to keep up with all of that, and it results in these types of situations, because I think this might be the end of the night for guys like Brock Westmoreland in the 4 machine. I think Michael Wingo might have been okay. Nick Sipple maybe got a piece in that number 75 machine as well. So, yeah, it's just really very unfortunate to have this happen so early. Get a couple more looks at this. We were on board with Freddie Basnez. You see what he was trying to do? He was just trying to go down, get that middle, and then realize it wasn't there, hop back up, and unfortunately, Sean Corbett was there. Let's go on board with Austin Green through this one. Makes the move down to the middle on Basnez. There he goes. Green did nothing wrong here. Basnez just kind of clipping Corbett. 87 to Green, just an innocent bystander all throughout this one. Spinning it out, spinning it out. He thinks he's going to be okay, and then last second gets clipped in that left rear. Sterling Thice right there doing a good job of missing the spinning 87, but there we go, Dawson. Already have the big one, 4 laps in.
Yeah, a big one that could have been a lot bigger, though. And kind of like I said, you can get away with some damage in these cars. At Atlanta, back a few weeks ago in this series, I had quite a bit of damage still on my car on the last restart, and probably could have finished as high as 6th in that race. You can kind of get away with it a little bit in the draft. So obviously not a night ender for some guys. I think the championship guys especially got away pretty much okay, at least over the course of the race. They're going to get a few more chances to come down pit road, not lose any laps, and get some damage fixed. You see some of them rolling off pit road now. I think Austin Green was one of those cars. So they'll be able to get damage fixed over the course of the night. You'll see them come down, kind of beat the pace car off pit road, come back around to the field. For the most part, I think guys are okay. I mean, Westmoreland and a couple other guys like that, Corbett, got a really rough end of that. But could have been a lot bigger, could have been a lot worse. And honestly, we made it 7-6 laps in, and this is a car we haven't run in almost a month in this series.
That is true. We're getting a look at some of these guys right now. Evan Carlbon's still sitting in the pit lane. What a tough break for the Jack Shack driver in the 78 machine. Was very much looking forward to this event, and right now, not a good start. I'm not going to say he's totally out of it. That's a damaged car, and he's already one lap down as it is, but he can find a way to come back through here, and that's definitely the hope. Here's a look at Austin Green rolling back around. Looks like he's going to be all fixed up, all good for him. See if we can find a couple other guys. Here's Josh McCullough, one of the championship drivers. No damage in this one. Stephen Miles as well, up to 20th for Nightmare Esports. There's Bazinez, no damage for him in the 60. Wyatt Gray still up front doing well. So is Triscaro and Flanagan, the two leaders of this restart. Well, we're going to try it again. One caution down. Who knows how many more to go, but it's going to be for Flanagan and Triscaro. An unlikely combination, I will say, of these two to be working together. I know there's been some slight tensions in the past between Triscaro and the teams kind of involved here, but right now they're working together, and honestly, it's probably for the best that they're doing this.
Well, for now, 7 laps into a 60-lap race, you take your dance partners where you can find them. It's Talladega, and that's always been the case. But for Triscaro and Flanagan, it's, well, if you can benefit me, I can benefit you. We're both going to go the front, and then we'll stick around for a little bit, help each other out, and then when it's time to go, it's every man for himself for a championship. Obviously, they'll settle that at the end, but for now, in this car especially, if you find someone you work well with, I mean, if it works, it works. You go all the way to the front. You're going to see that throughout this week as well. Green flag is going to go back in the air, lap 8 of 60, and a little bit of a time jump potentially for David Flanagan. He jumps back on the gas, and
Yellow flag.
We're back under the caution flag.
Immediately, yellow flag has flown once again. We saw some massive checkups going on in the back around maybe 10 rows back, 8 to 10 rows back, and I'm not seeing a car sideways here. So let's see if we can find any sort of sign of what this is. Let's take this to the starter cam. So there's something going on in the back. We see smoke. And for some reason the yellow flag flies. There's nothing going on back here. I'm kind of speechless. Evan Carlbon blinks in, but he wasn't involved in anything. So just kind of a ghost kind of yellow flag here. Let's try and back this up maybe and originate. Okay, hold on. I might see what's going on here. Maybe Mark Vondel in the 59 machine in the back. Some crazy stack-ups going on. So the green flag is out. Look at just the checkups going on in both lines. Steven Miles in 24 goes down. Vondel nowhere to go. That might have been it right there. Schreckengoss getting in the back of the 59, but nobody really spun out here, Dawson. This is a kind of confusing yellow flag.
Well, I can tell you it was thrown from the race control tower, so I'm not sure what race control is seeing here. I'm seeing the replay for a couple times myself, and yeah, that's going to be my guess. That checkup was really bad back there around the last 5-6 rows, and my guess is going to be that race control either A, threw it as the stack-up was happening, anticipating an incident, or B, the stack-up was so bad and cars were kind of everywhere. It was chaotic. It was a hectic scene, so I think race control makes the decision to throw a caution, and we're going to re-rack and restack and run a couple more pace laps.
So I stand corrected. The 28 machine is actually Bryce Delaban, not the supposed Ryan Schreckengoss I thought earlier. So Schreckengoss is going to be okay from this. Delaban, not so much. Tons of nose damage on that 28 machine. Mark Vondel kind of hit on both sides as well. And that will be the yellow flag. And I'll tell you what, Dawson, there seems to be a lot going on under caution, or this is just iRacing data playing a trick on me once again.
It's not. We got problems for the leader, David Flanagan. His car has shut off here under the caution flag, and he cannot get that Chevrolet refired. He is somewhat under power. He's rolling very slowly on the apron, but he is now going to get it back fired up. But, man, he lost a lot of track position right there coming down pit. Well, he's not going to come down pit road. He's going to stay out. Man, what a tough break there. We'll see if he gets his track position back.
I'll tell you what I believe was probably the cause of this. The caution flew so quickly, and this always happens when it comes to iRacing. There seems to always be issues with this. The caution comes out, and the pace car will come out as well, but iRacing data doesn't fully comprehend the situation, and it'll start flipping things around and whatever. So everyone, I guess, had to check up for the pace car, and when it came around, I'm assuming that David Flanagan came to a stop because he might have been under the assumption that he had to catch the pace car as the leader. And as he did that, he had his car shut off, and it just simply wouldn't refire. That's my only guess for that. I've had that happen to me personally. I'm sure Dawson's had the same issue as well sometimes, saving some fuel under the yellow flag or whatnot. But it looks like he's going to come back and get his track position back. He's still going to be the leader of the race with Michael Triscaro still in tow. Tanner Kasinger in third. Have a shout out to Kasinger. He's someone that's been definitely part of the show here in the Lite Series. Unfortunately, wasn't able to make it into the Championship 8, but someone you always got to watch out here in that 88 machine.
Yeah, Kasinger, a guy that likes this car a lot, too. He's going to be a guy to watch throughout the course of the week. This is a warm-up run for him. Obviously not running for a championship tonight, but you can use this as a bit of a warm-up, if you will, for your heat race over the next few days. And Kasinger is one of those guys that just has an art about this car. He's run with very successful guys in this car, so he kind of knows his way around it. No surprise to see him up towards the front. Wyatt Gray's another one. Really loves this car, really knows it, has a knack for this race car, and he's running well so far as well, running for a championship. J.R. Miller in with the super chat, little $10 super chat from J.R. Miller. Thank you, sir. J.R., good to see you out here. And, of course, pulling for his PGR team owner, teammate, the owner of PGR eSports, Michael Triscaro, for the win. But do appreciate the super chat there from J.R. Miller.
Yeah, 100%. I just noticed it during your monologue right there. I was going to make mention of it. Glad you beat me to it. Thank you again to J.R. Miller. Usually the driver of the number 78 machine for Team PGR. Unfortunately not out here on the racetrack tonight, but as you said, cheering on the boss of PGR, Michael Triscaro, as they're going to go 2x2 again. We're going to try it again. That time we didn't even really make it past the start-finish line under any sort of green flag condition, and 2 cautions down, 50 laps to go when we take the green. I don't know what to really expect here. So there's a combination on the bottom. We were talking about Tanner Kasinger. I will point this out. Jack Long is a new member of Money Racing in the community. That is a sort of team, I guess, that Tanner Kasinger has formed up. He has first chosen Jack Long to be on his team. He's kind of found him through some networking in the community and whatever. And these two are now lined up on the bottom. This might have to be a combination to watch out for, considering how aggressive Tanner Kasinger is. And up front, Flanagan, Triscaro, Gray, they don't really have any teammates out here.
Yeah, but again, guys with knack for the car, and I think that helps a lot. You know kind of what moves to make, what blocks to make, and you can kind of anticipate. I think Wyatt's really good at that. Anticipating the moves coming from behind him, especially, and so I think these guys are going to be able to stay up front. Kasinger and Long, yeah, I see it. I don't think they're going to do anything too brash here, especially on David Flanagan, considering he's running for a title. I think they'll obviously try to get themselves clear, maybe jump around Flanagan. We see guys do that a lot, and that's something that all of us drivers that kind of know this car have utilized in the past. But no, I think these guys up here without teammates, they'll be fine. It's a car you can make a lot happen by yourself in this car. It's kind of surprising how much you can do as a solo car up here just by using the side draft or throwing blocks at the right time or taking moves at the right time. You can do a lot by yourself with no teammates.
That is true, but it's always power in numbers for the most part in any sort of super speedway racing, so we'll keep an eye on those two and everyone else up here who honestly are just kind of individual up here outside of Chris Melton, Steve Sizemore. That's the only set of teammates I'm really seeing up here right now. But Flanagan, after that under the yellow flag mishap he had, his car shutting off, he's luckily got it back on. Still going to be taking the lead and the restart right here, heading into the zone this time. We'll see what push Kasinger can give him here. Miles having to drop below the apron again. These checkups are getting pretty crazy in the back. They've handled it a lot better this time, though. Flanagan with the nose up at first. Kasinger did not connect at all. Michael Triscaro with the lead into 1.
Yeah, Flanagan tried to jump it, I think, to get in front of Michael Triscaro, and Triscaro got a good jump, and so did Wyatt Gray behind him, and Flanagan now going to have to rely on the push from Tanner Kasinger on the bottom. 4 cars clear up top now. Several going to jump up to that outside line against the safer barrier. Now they're all bailing. They're abandoning ship on the bottom. Flanagan, Kasinger, and Jack Long, the only three down there. Another car further back, I believe it's Dalton Steele. It's going to drop down. Flanagan says, all right, well, that's not going anywhere. I'm going to jump in line 6th. Axel Smith, all of a sudden, is up here in the midst of the top 5. It's a bit of a 5-car breakaway back to that 97 car up front.
It is a little bit of a breakaway. I'm not sure they're going to be able to connect quick enough or soon enough and have enough ample time to actually pull away from the pack, as that top line's now starting to get away from that bottom, pull away from them, and now we're back all connected again. Flanagan to the back bumper of Axel Smith. Single file train all the way back to what I believe is Gordon Spain. All the way in 10th right now. It could be even further back than that. Sure enough, Kasinger clear, a little bit of contact in the middle right here. Jack Long getting squirrely into 1, but he's going to be able to save it. Get right up in front of Nick Sipple out of 2. Dalton Steele in the 41 is going to hop up and now just leave Ron Morris down there on the bottom all by himself.
Well, that's kind of what happens when you see guys start to migrate to the top side, is it causes checkups. Obviously, the guy that jumps in line is going to have to work that energy back up, work the speed back up, and the guys behind him have to jump on their brakes, and it causes some stack-ups. The bottom is disintegrated without the side draft. You may be asking, well, why did it go away that quickly? Look at who the pusher is on that outside line. It's Wyatt Gray. Third is Brian Hennings. Two very experienced drivers in this car, guys with a lot of reps. And again, Wyatt Gray, he knows exactly what to do. He's got a unique knack for this car, knowing how to push and keep the line moving. They didn't even have to side draft. They just straight out pushed the bottom line. Now you see him starting to save a little bit of engine temps and relaxing here for a minute. For the first 8-9 cars back to, I can't tell which car that is on the bottom. It might still be Kasinger. Well, pretty much logging laps in the top 8. Not for long. Kasinger, Dalton Steele, Ron Morris. That bottom line is wound up, and they are coming in a hurry.
Yes, they are. They've made it up to Chase Mastretta, Steve Sizemore, David Flanagan. They might have a crack at breaking into the top 5 right here on Axel Smith. Austin Green bails in front of Chase Mastretta. Flanagan down to the middle. Nobody's home. He's going to hop back up to the top. What a run down there on the bottom, but Chris Melton decided to take it. Look at Wyatt Gray down. What an aggressive move in front of Chris Melton in the 49 machine. Wyatt Gray to the point here on lap 14.
This is what I mean with Wyatt Gray. It's that knack. He saw that move coming. He knew that the line was faster, and he jumps down. But look at Chris Melton. That's Abbott right there. Grabbing the right rear, grabbing a ton of side draft, and jumping back up in front of the faster line. With Triscaro, they're going to actually side draft their way along past Wyatt Gray. That was really, really good racecraft there from Chris Melton. But with Kasinger, Gray, Dalton Steele, 3 of the better next-gen drivers on the bottom, it may not be enough in terms of side drafting. There are 4 trying to tandem up on the bottom. Look at this push from Kasinger to Gray. Gray's got it. He's trying to bring Kasinger with him. I don't think he's going to be able to. He's going to have to jump back up here off of 4 to the safer barrier if he wants to continue to lead this race.
Kasinger is clear of that top line. He's not taking it, though. That allows Chris Melton to get that side draft, let Wyatt Gray kind of get away. There's 2 packs formed here. Wyatt Gray's now going to hop up in front of Chris Melton. Michael Triscaro in his bumper luckily lets off just in time before a bad connection happened. But like we said, there are 2 packs here. The leader of this one is actually Adam Young in the 22 machine. Haven't seen him in a long time in Money Racing, making a return in this Lite Series race, leading that bottom lane. Not a lot of organization back here. If these guys don't want to lose this draft, they need to form up and form up quick. There's also a pack in the back consisting of Josh Jambroni, Hunter Hastings, and Ambrose Knable. Just the 3 of them, and then these guys all the way back. So much separation throughout the rest of the field. There's a look at Evan Carlbon, one of the championship contenders, still hanging in there, although in an extremely damaged race car for the 78. But back up front, Tanner Kasinger to the lead and up top here on lap 15.
Again, these are guys you're going to want to write their names down and watch them later in the race or later in the week when we get into their heat races and potentially even a run into Saturday afternoon in the PGR 500. These are the guys. Kasinger, Gray, even Dalton Steele in the 41 now on the bottom. Ron Morris in the 76, a savvy veteran, but the caution flag comes out right as this first pack got to really race.
Yeah, this is a look at James Waring, number 13. Yellow flag does fly, going further back. Oh, this happened all the way before turn 1. Bryce Delaban involved in the number 28. There's Wesley Lynch, a few other guys. Don't think we had a very large accident here, not from what I'm seeing, but let's go ahead and take a look. As we saw the 28 machine sideways, unfortunately. Oh, we actually are going to get a look at this. So, ooh, wow. Lots going on. He's got Nick Sipple in the 75 machine behind him. Coming up on Adam Young, this was the pack we were just looking at. The second pack, desperately trying to catch the leaders. Took it into slow-mo. Nick Sipple pushing Jack Long right there for all he is worth. Going to get to the back bumper of Young. Not at all square. Sipple still pushing, and Sipple's going to turn Jack Long in the 124 around. Bryce Delaban still pushing Nick Sipple. Jack Long back up the racetrack right into Stephen Miles, a championship contender in the 24 machine. It has not been easy for our championship guys here tonight. I mean, Stephen Miles, a guy who likes to sit back, just wait for his moment, just gets blindsided here in the second pack. I'm not sure how much damage Stephen Miles might have. Let's see if we can get a quick look. Not looking good for Miles so far. Going pretty slow around here. That might be the end of Stephen Miles' night. We hope not, obviously. Let's get a couple more looks at this really quickly. We see just Adam Young got kind of broken away from this pack. Jack Long coming up with a run. Probably not wanting Nick Sipple to still be pushing him as hard as he was, but at the end of the day, that's what caused this one.
We'll make a note of what happened on this incident because I feel like we're going to see this throughout the week as well. And it's a tough deal. If you're third in line there, Nick Sipple in the 75, you really can't see the car that's in front of the guy you're pushing. And I'm pretty sure that's what happens here. They get a gap off of that lead car. We had talked about that second pack. I thought they had lined up. They get too wide again. And there's a big gap between Adam Young and the Jack Long machine, excuse me. And right there, Seipel's just pushing through Jack Long. He probably has no idea there's a car out in front of the 124. And by the time the 124 is getting on the brakes, the 75 is tandem to him. And he just never lifts off of him, gets him in the left rear. And that's a really tough break for Stephen Miles. Again, a guy, like you said, loves to sit back, wait for the right moment, wait for, lap 40 before he really makes a move. A couple more cautions as well. Maybe a pit cycle, then he goes to make his move. And you get caught in a wreck running 20th on the racetrack. I know that's frustrating for the driver of the 24. It's a tough deal, and I believe it is something we're going to see throughout this week as well.
Well, taking a look at the onboard of Stephen Miles now, he was completely blindsided. He didn't even let off of the gas. He had zero expectation that was about to happen to him. We'll take this back again and look at it. Just bam! Right across the nose comes Jack Long in the 124. Massive hit for Miles. Let's take it back live and see what his damage is looking like. If we can.
Disconnected. Sorry, I know I hopped up into this, but it looks like championship implications on that one. He is out of the race.
Stephen Miles, the first championship contender to fall here tonight. One of the entries for Nightmare Esports, the other being Freddie Bazinez here tonight, contending for the championship. The first one to fall out. Unfortunate for the 24 machine. Too much damage on his car. Probably some wheel damage getting slapped up against the wall like that. So, unfortunate ending for him, but everyone else currently in the championship, I mean, Evan Carlbahn right here, let's take a look at him. Still fixing damage. He's now back on the lead lap. So it is good news for Carlbahn, and this is what he needs. He needs all these wrecks to keep happening because that car is pretty massacred for the 78, and he needs these cautions fixed as much as he can, and he might still have a look at this thing.
Well, it's a nice break to be back on the lead lap, but a sobering thought now, I'm sure, for the other 7, well, other than maybe Carlbahn, but the other 6 to 7 championship contenders, especially the ones that were up in the lead, that were kind of making some, not really bonsai moves yet, but, Wyatt Gray going top to bottom, and, a couple of the blocks we were seeing. It's got to be a sobering thought now as you see Stephen Miles succumb to an incident. Oh, man, maybe I should, take it a little bit easier and be a bit more aware of my moves and kind of realize the implications they can have. And we'll see if that is the case, although there are guys, Austin Green and guys like that, Michael Triscaro as well, they're going to come back to the front. Once they get there, I wonder, maybe does the side drafting take a bit of a break, or does the blocking take a bit of a break? In a championship hunt, it's got to be a bit of a unique strategy. You got to change your mindset a little bit. We'll see if the remaining 7 contenders do just that.
We will see that, but right now the leader of the race has been flipped to Josh Jambroni in the number 49. So one Nightmare driver falls, another one rises up to the lead for the 49 of Jambroni, followed by Dalton Steele, Chris Melton, the R&R combo down there on the bottom, and Tanner Kasinger still up here, going to be sitting P4. Ron Morris has found his way to 5th. Brian Henning 6th, Axel Smith 7th, Austin Green, currently the best of the championship guys, in 8th, Michael Wingo 9th, and Chase Mastretta in 8th. Well, we've had a kind of interesting race, and it's always kind of more important. It puts a different kind of light on a race when you're dealing with a championship, obviously under any circumstance, but when you can really focus on the guys competing for it. To me, at least, it's really fascinating to watch what their strategy is and how they approach their race. Stephen Miles is a guy that we always see, like we said, hang out at the back to avoid this exact incident from happening, and he still gets taken out from that. Then you have guys like Austin Green, Wyatt Gray, who want to be up front, lead every lap they can, David Flanagan as well. Just the different approaches to taking when it comes to just trying to advance their way as far as possible into becoming the first ever PGR Lite Series champion.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I've been in a championship race, in fact, in this car before at this racetrack, and You know, I kind of started with the mentality of, okay, I'm going to be up front. I want to lead some laps and obviously want to be in a position to win. But as the race wore on, a couple of wrecks happened around me. I dropped out. I went to the back. I decided to play it a little safe, run where I could control my race and kind of keep everything in front of me. It ended up working and won the championship, of course, but lost it to my teammates. So obviously I can accept that. But we both took it easy after a couple of these early cautions, and it's going to be interesting to see if those guys follow it. I doubt they will, though. With Austin Green and Freddie Bazinez, guys that love to lead laps, I don't think they're going to stay where they are for very long. Green flag going to come back out. It's Jambroni out front. He gets a nice little jump out of the restart zone. He'll take the green flag, and now a decision time for the Corona Chevrolet as he's 2 car lengths out in front of either line. I think I just park it here in the outside. Hope the help comes to me. It will. Form of Tanner Kasinger. Up the banking, bottom side, a pair of Wagoner Racing teammates. Dalton Steele, Chris Melton on the bottom side. They get Brian Hennings in tow. Look at Kasinger. Look at that move to the middle for the 88. But here's the problem. Nobody home with him other than Josh Jambroni, who will drop behind him, man. I'll tell you what, if I'm the 49, I'm not sure if I give him that much grace and push him to the lead after he splits me. What do you know? He splits him right back into 3.
Sure enough, Tanner Kasinger not wasting any time. He wanted that lead of that line. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out for him, and definitely not for Josh Jambroni, sitting way back in the Hornets' nest. But he now has his teammate Chase Mastretta behind him. We'll see what they might be able to cook up here early on in lap 20, but you know these guys want to go back to the lead and go back quick. Dalton Steele, leader of the race here with his teammate Christopher Melton in 2nd, Hennings 3rd, Michael Wingo, how about that, in 4th, Kasinger back to 5th, Ron Morris will be 6th, Josh Jambroni all the way back to 7th. There goes Ron Morris down to the bottom trying to make up something happen. He's going to pick up a push from Steve Sizemore, Michael Triscaro, not a good one at all. What is going on? We're 4 wide, Kasinger, oh, the 88 machine.
Big wreck. Mastretta's going to come back down. He collects some more.
There we go. Chase Mastretta spinning in the back. He's going to get Arca braked in that 8 machine. Unfortunate for Mastretta and Jambroni. This is just falling to pieces for Nightmare Esports right now. Miles out. Mastretta, Jambroni taken out right here. Not a ton of damage, I will say, on these guys. If you say Kasinger, one of the threats here tonight, also involved in this one. Let's go back and see. There was just a lot going on here, and none of it good. That bottom line was not getting organized. Michael Triscaro barely escaping this accident. That's good news for him. We're going to focus this on Tanner Kasinger and just see what was kind of going on here. There was a lot really to talk about here. So here we go. Kasinger went down to the middle, but at the same time, Steve Sizemore, I think, unintentionally kind of goes up around Ron Morris. That leaves them 4 wide. Morris and Sizemore make contact. Sizemore into Kasinger. Jambroni absolutely nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's a tough deal. And it's kind of similar to a wreck we had just a few minutes ago. There was an offset push at the front. It was a pair of teammates, Melton on Steele. He got a little bit off to Steele's left. And he got, I think, too far off to the left that he had to lift out or he was going to turn his teammate in front of the whole field. When he did that, it started to check up. You see Brian Hennings getting the brakes. You see Michael Wingo getting the brakes. Kasinger doesn't get the memo quite in time. Gets in the back of the car in front of him. Kind of starts a bit of a stack up. Then Kasinger ends up turned because Steve Sizemore at the same time, like we saw earlier, 2 things happen at once. Sizemore unintentionally up and around. They go 4 wide, and it's kind of it's not the, hey, I meant to go 4 wide. It's the, hey, I have no idea that we're 4 wide, kind of 4 wide. And that's the kind that never works. It's unfortunate for Jambroni. It's unfortunate for Tanner Kasinger as well. Had a great start to this race. And then Mastretta gets turned as a kind of a byproduct, and he collects a few more. And again, almost got some championship guys as well.
Well, not almost. We just got to look at this. Freddie Bazinez, significant right front damage on his machine. To see if we can get a quick look at that if we can. Because that... Oh my goodness. Freddie Bazinez is done. Freddie Bazinez is out. Man. His wheel is not even moving. This is insane what's going on right now. Championship guys just falling left and right. Let's focus this on Freddie Bazinez back here in the 60 machine, prime PGR 500 paint. Bam! Axel Smith right into the door, and that's going to be it. He kept it straight. It was as if he didn't even get hit, his response to it at least. But Bazinez out here tonight in the PGR Lite Championship.
And honestly, probably one of the favorites. He was my pick to win coming into tonight. The hot streak that he's been on recently across all promotions, not necessarily just the Lite Series, but even on Thursday nights, a guy that runs up front, and on throughout the week, on like Friday nights and even Saturday nights, like every night we're out on track, it felt like Freddie Bazinez was running at the front. Combine that with the fact that I think this is his best car in the next gen car, and I full confidence picked him going into tonight, and now out 23 laps in. Only 6 guys remain in the championship 8. We still have 40 laps to go. I mean, if you're Gray, Green, Flanagan, Josh McCullough, Carlbon. I mean, Evan Carlbon's got to be feeling good right now because he's not close enough to the wrecks to be in them. But if you're one of the 6 guys left, I mean, now it becomes about attrition. Again, that goes into what I said earlier. The decision-making at the front. Do you back out? Is it not worth it? Do you want to be in front of it? I don't know. It's going to be interesting, the mindset of some of these championship drivers.
And I'll tell you what, Dawson, that 78 machine keeps looking newer and newer. And like you said, he needs all this to happen. He needs this attrition from the championship guys. I'll tell you, the cleanest one so far outside of Wyatt Gray, who's been up front the whole race. How about Josh McCullough in the 5 machine right here for McCullough Motorsports? He's in the championship too. And when he's in a championship, he likes to sit back and be that quiet guy. Not something he's exactly used to when it comes to money racing, but he sits back, lets everything come to him, and right now he is in a prime position to at least get some sort of championship cash spot and a payout here. Might even have a look at winning the thing, but I'll tell you what, Wyatt Gray and Austin Green up here, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, again, 2 of the guys that have a knack for the next gen. Austin loves this car and is going to be very successful. He's going to be racing kind of doing double duty this week, racing and trying to make the 500 as well as helping us out in the broadcast booth as well. So obviously he's getting a rep in before his heat race later on in the week. But he and Wyatt Gray, really tough to beat. Josh McCullough, you make a good note. Season 2 of the Little Guys series, back when Josh McCullough became a Little Guys champion, he kind of did this same thing. It wasn't that far back. He was kind of just mingling around the middle of the field, hanging out, not getting in any trouble. And then he found his groove late. He drove to the front, and he drove his way into victory lane that night. He's looking to be on the same course tonight. As these guys continue to fall off, as these championship contenders continue to have problems, Josh McCullough says, hey, you guys can do all that. I'm going to ride back here. I'm going to have no stress. And by the end of this thing, he may be the only one left standing. I want to shout out a couple guys at the front as well that are just having good runs that aren't in the championship. How about Michael Barksdale, a first-timer in the Lite Series? He's P4 on this restart. I believe a guy you'll see later this week in the PGR 500 as well. William Rice in the 37. Gordon Spain in the 38. They're 5th and 6th. Hunter Hastings is 7th. Bryce Dulabon, we saw him get involved in the wreck. He's 8th now. A lot of guys having good runs here towards the front, including a first-timer in Michael Barksdale.
I'll tell you what, there's one that you kind of missed right here. How about Michael Wingo in the lead of this thing? Not exactly a new guy, but he's leading the race. Great run for him so far in this one. We'll see if he's going to be able to keep that number 36 machine up front and at the point. But he's got to fight off Wyatt Gray, Austin Green, Barksdale, and Gordon Spain right here. Pace car rolls in. They'll be taking lap 25, almost halfway through tonight's event. Wingo going to be the control car down there in that 36, the blue and white Toyota Camry. Into the box, and there we go. Waits for the green flag to wave. Somewhat an even restart. Wyatt Gray, not much help out back, and he's going to drag back. Wyatt Gray, probably he missed a shift. Wyatt Gray misses a shift. And
oh, man, they're trying to save it out back. They really are. And they're going to.
Wow. Okay, this caused a lot of issues right here. So Wyatt Gray misses a shift. We still got one in the grass. Steve Sizemore, he's going to be all right. Thice good, Wagner, Smith, Carl Bond, all good. Okay, it just keeps, these problems just keep happening to the championship guys. There we go. Wyatt Gray completely misses a shift, leader of the outside line, and that has spread this entire field apart, Dawson.
Well, and here's the problem. Three of the championship 8, or championship 6 that are remaining, Flanagan, McCullough, Triscaro, are now stuck over a 2.5 seconds off the leader in their own pack because they got stuck behind that checkup. Now in need of a caution with 35 to go. Only a few of the championship guys remain here at the front. Austin Green and Wyatt Gray are the only 2 I see up front right now. The other 4 that are still in the race are now in need of a caution. And boy, if it pans out this way, Wyatt Gray, Austin Green, they got away with one right there, and now it's 1v1 for the time being.
Sure enough. Ooh, look at Nick Seipel trying to get in front of Austin Green. Not good enough. Luckily, he's going to be away okay, but he's going to get hung out in the middle in that 75. Ooh, contact out back. William Rice from a push from Wyatt Gray trying to recover from that incident. But how about this group of guys up front? Wingo, Hastings, and Gordon Spain, the top 3 of this race. How about this one for the underdogs? Dalton Steele up here as well. William Rice in 5th. This is fantastic to see. This is truly what this series was meant to be. And right now, this group of guys is proving it.
Yeah, I'm starting to watch time deltas out back as that second group starts to try to run down the leaders. I'm trying to see if they start to pick up any time, because this pack up here running too wide and now doing this. Look at Wingo. He might get split. This is worst case scenario for the leaders and for Wyatt Gray and Austin Green here at the front, because now they're going to start to lose time. 4 tenths picked up by the second group down the backstretch, and they only need about another half a second before they're back in draft range and can drive their way back into this race. If these guys up front realize that, they'd be singling out right now, not side drafting, lining up and trying to drive away. Unfortunately, that time delta continues to close. Look at Austin Green up across the nose of Mark Vondel and Ron Morris, the teammates. Green is playing Pied Piper of Talladega right now with 33 laps to go. He's the leader in the race and the championship.
How about Mark Vondel, another one of those guys? He's kind of an old-timer to money racing. You know, he hasn't had a lot of good come his way recently, and he's right here, the second on the top line. He was the leader of it for a second, trying to push his teammate Austin Green. He hooks him! He hooks Austin Green! Dalton Steele almost up and over in the 41 machine. Yellow flag flies. The 5th caution, and another championship contender involved in an accident. That'll be Green's 2nd accident of the night in that 87. He just got hooked on the outside by Mark Vondel in the 59, spins across the track, and Dalton Steele gets absolutely blindsided. Let's go back and take a look at this one. So like we said, this originated up top. Watch the 87 and the 59 here. Vondel trying to get squared up with his teammate of Green, try and push him on that outside line, and right now it's just not happening. Vondel almost turning him the first time, hooks him, and that is what turns him. Right hook from Mark Vondel into Austin Green. Green going to come back across into Dalton Steele, almost turning the 41 machine over. What an avoidance by the 37 of William Rice, getting around the spinning Austin Green. And only 2 cars going to be involved here, but one of them is definitely one of the more important guys out here tonight.
I'm going to be curious now, that hit on Dalton Steele, did it knock the left front wheel out of alignment for Austin Green? Well, how much damage will he have? It looked like he could drive away. I couldn't really tell immediately how bad the damage would be. Man, Dalton Steele completely blindsided. Man, a bit of a spook inside the cockpit there when you're getting lifted off the ground and you can barely see the guy getting turned. That's a tough break for Austin Green. He's lucky he got a caution flag. I'm kind of surprised they were off the racetrack, but the caution flag comes out immediately. That's about the best break Austin could have gotten, or he would have been very much out of this race. Now the question will be, when he gets to his pit stall, how much damage aboard the 87? Wyatt Gray also narrowly avoids this as well. The championship guys, this is a tough sledding here tonight for the championship 8.
Oh yeah, 100%. We're going to go on board with Dalton Steele right here and just watch this blindside hit that he received, almost putting it on its lid. He saw it coming. He did see it. You saw him move the wheel down to the left a little bit, but it just was not in time with all the momentum that Austin Green had. Spinning it out. I think he might actually get away from this okay. But we looked at the damage on Austin Green, and it ain't looking good. But it doesn't seem like a wheel is too severely damaged on that car. So hopefully he will still be in contention. Let's go ahead and take this back live and get a look at Austin Green in the pits right here. Unfortunately, we need to see the left side of the car going to be getting that damage fixed. We see some nose damage on the left front, right side looking perfectly okay. And time will tell, because we see, look at the splitter right there for Austin Green as well, the left front riding high. That is going to hurt him aerodynamically. Lots of stories here, Dawson. They're not good ones for our championship guys.
And we're only halfway in, and already 4 of the 8 guys have had some kind of trouble. 2 of them are already out of the race, and now a third in Austin Green appears to be not really headed that way, but now is behind the 8 ball in a big-time way. Evan Carlbon just got another lap back, by the way. He's back on the lead lap now in the 78. I'll tell you, that car looks brand new, but man, if I'm Carlbon and I'm looking around and half the field's had problems in terms of championship guys, I don't know. I almost kind of want to continue to ride around where I've been at the whole time, or you're going to find trouble. Wyatt Gray, David Flanagan, 6th, 7th right now. I can only imagine what's going through their minds here at the front of the field.
They have to assume that they're next, because that's just been the show so far. Is it's everybody against the championship guys just getting taken out in wrecks. A lot of them just very narrowly getting involved in them, like Freddie Baznez, Steven Miles. Not so much narrowly, but just a blindside hit from Miles. But we're looking at Flanagan, Wyatt Gray, Josh McCullough, the cleanest cars out here on the racetrack. Now, we did see Wyatt Gray missing a shift. Now, that can happen if you don't get your foot off the throttle enough when you upshift from second to third, or third to fourth, whatever the situation may be. Could this potentially be a technical issue for Wyatt Gray? Not to try and fake any sort of adversity, that could very well be the case. Something on his physical wheel could be going wrong. That does happen as well. We're going to find out if he gets a better restart this time.
Well, I'll tell you this, earlier in the race, on one of the restarts, I think the restart before that, he actually got a really nice jump and got through the gears, so I don't think it's a technical problem. It may have just been a bit of a mental lapse, maybe thinking about something else that's going on, looking at the guy to the inside, and all of a sudden, bam, you miss third gear, miss fourth gear, and the guys behind you are checking up, you're checking up the whole line, trying not to get wrecked. It may have just been a bit of a mental lapse, or a moment of, oh man, I didn't get, I missed the shifter, or I missed a paddle, depending on how the setup is, or like you said, didn't blip the throttle enough getting up into third gear. It could be any number of things, or it could be completely mental. Again, in a championship race, the stress is just that much higher.
Very well could be the case. Well, right now, Ron Morris is the leader of the race. Hunter Hastings to his outside. Brian Hennings third. Michael Wingo still hanging tough up here in the fourth position. Nick Sipple all the way to fifth. Wyatt Gray, Dave Flanagan, as mentioned, sixth and seventh. James Waring in eighth. Wesley Lynch ninth, and Gordon Spain still hanging strong in the top 10. And this does have a strange dynamic to it, at least from what happened the last time with the missed shift from Wyatt Gray. Some new names up here. Michael Wingo, and you alluded to it under the last yellow, not just like up here for the restart on strategy, they're hanging up here. And that's good news. And if these wrecks continue to happen, which honestly, that's the way it's trending, very well could be the case, we might get a serious upset here tonight.
Well, you look back there again, I'll mention Gordon Spain, I'll mention Kenneth Gallman now, who's inside the top 10, Ryan Schreckengoss, Bryce Dulaban, who we saw in a wreck earlier, Barksdale and Rice hanging around just outside the top 15. A number of the guys that we kind of said earlier, oh, well, maybe upset threats, they're hanging around up front here, kind of making it a reality potentially for an upset in this one, and just past the halfway point. Again, you mentioned not a championship guys and heavy hitters, we'll say in quotes, in this series, having some problems. It's going to open the door for potentially a brand new winner, even maybe a first-time PGR sanctioned race winner in this race. And still a long way to go, but several guys so far looking sporty, looking competitive for the victory, potentially for their first here on the money racing scene. Green flag back in the air. Morris, good jump. Hennings along with him. They're going to all both potentially get up here in front of Hastings. And Michael Wingo that time didn't get a great jump. It almost looked like he may have almost missed a gear out back in fourth. It's going to allow the top four to get clear. Morris, Hennings, Hastings, Seipel, as they drive away by 6 car lengths, but almost not a good thing, because here comes that second line. David Flanagan, where do you go when you get there? They're going to have a monster run.
They decide to go up the racetrack. A lot of guys ditching the bottom. We saw that poor restart by Michael Wingo. Luckily, Hastings, that left him all the way alone on the outside, but he found a spot in just in front of the 75 machine, the new Team PGR edition of Nick Seipel in that purple 75. Now David Flanagan up to the 5th position, followed by Gordon Spain behind him. Spain getting a little squirrely behind the 31, but right now they're still hanging tough. A little bit of a 7-8 car breakaway here up top.
Yeah, these guys, I feel like, need to start to log some laps, and it looks like, with the exception of about 8 cars on the bottom, 9 cars on the bottom, these guys up front want to. It's not going to last very long, though, as guys start to come back forward. Look at Flanagan out from the top to the bottom. That bright white, yellow, pink, and blue Jack Shack Chevrolet. Now Seipel will drop down in front of that line in the 75, and all of a sudden, right as I say that, we're back to 2x2. Hennings, great move. He's going to get a nice push here from Seipel. Well-timed on the exit of the corner. New leader in 3. Brian Hennings in the 74, and he'll take it emphatically with a push from the 75.
About 3-4 cars clear of that top line. Make it 5. Adam Young clear as well. And now these guys go to the middle, and now they're going to get their right rears taken. We're wrecking out back. Michael Wingo. Oh, big hit. William Rice. Wesley Lynch. Still spinning right here. Watch out. Into the grass, luckily not going to get tagged again for the 37 of William Rice. I believe that this originated around the 36 of Michael Wingo. That's where it appeared to begin. Let's go back and see.
And another championship driver in white and gray.
Unreal. Wyatt Gray getting a word from race control Matthew Baker here tonight. Wyatt Gray going to be involved right here. So here's a focus on the 18 machine of Gray. Wingo in the 36 up top, that blue and white machine. Gray in the middle, sufficiently under him, and then Wingo, it looks like, is going to come down on him. A little bit of netcode involved, but I think they would have. Oh, Austin Green in the 87 also. So 2 more championship guys. I should say Green, the 3rd incident for him tonight. Gray's going to get away okay, I do believe, from this one. But Green on the bottom, locking it down. I think he might get away okay too. Not a lot of damage for him in the 87, but again, a 3rd incident on the night for Austin Green. Let's go back and see what happened to William Rice back here, because we saw him get turned back up the racetrack. And it was about to definitely not be pretty for the rest of the field, but they were able to sort this out. Can find him real quick. There he is. Focus that 37, yellow and orange. He just gets run over, it looks like, by James Waring, and Wesley Lynch nowhere to go in the 33. Some wheel damage, it looks like, for William Rice. Going to spin him back down into the tri-oval grass. Well, these guys just keep getting involved. Like, now add Wyatt Gray to the list, and we're running out of guys that aren't involved. I'm pretty sure Josh McCullough is the only guy left that hasn't been involved in an incident here tonight.
Yeah, I think you're right. These championship guys can't escape it, and it's another tough deal where Wyatt Gray has the middle established. Wingo comes down across his nose. Now, in terms of the involvement we've seen for a championship guy tonight, I think Wyatt Gray has the least. I mean, he kind of just goes across Wyatt's nose. Wyatt drives away relatively unscathed. He'll have a little bit of damage, but maybe not even. He barely even hits the Michael Wingo machine. For Austin Green, that just compounded whatever he had before, so whatever you fixed, well, eliminate that off the board because you've got some more to fix now if you're the 87. So tough break for him. Josh McCullough, by the way, had just started to come to the front and was right around that incident. So you say he's the only one not involved, but really he was about 1.5 feet from being the last championship guy to get involved in a wreck tonight. All of the other 7 have had some involvement in one of the incidents. This is a little bit incredible, and there's still 25 laps to go. A lot can still happen. Might be whichever championship contender can limp their car around this racetrack to get back to the checkered flag.
I'll tell you what, I did not like the sound that I just heard from the contact of Austin Green. That sounded like something could have very well snapped somewhere in the suspension, some sort of assembly right there. Let's take a look at him. He still has that left front damage. Right side looking okay, so maybe he's going to get away fine from that at least. That's definitely the hope out here. I'll tell you, we are forgetting somebody, and I probably shouldn't even mention him, but it's kind of my duty and my job up here to talk about this. Michael Triscaro, the 34 machine for NBG. He's been pretty clean too, and please do not curse me down saying that I just put the jinx on him and everything, and I say that he's probably going to get wrecked right here. We definitely don't want that to happen. He's been keeping it clean too. Right now, he's kind of in the hornet's nest. He's sitting in 12th right now, and now he's dropping back to 13th. There might be a problem with the 34. He's okay, just saving a little bit of fuel, it appears, for Michael Triscaro, but he's hanging tough too. A lot of guys are. And we'll go back again to Mr. Carl Bond. That is James Wagner. Let's go up to Carl Bond. Like you said, I mean, that car is brand new. That 78 Jack Shack Chevrolet Camaro, looking all fresh off the showroom floor. But he's probably just biding his time hanging back, and he knows that's most likely his best choice right now.
Oh, yeah, fully agree. And he's kind of been doing it here by virtue of having to fix damage. He's kind of gotten lucky. He's gotten away from it. Now, in the next, probably 8 to 10 laps, if you're Carl Bond, if you're even back around Evan Carl Bond in terms of the championship guys, if you're an Austin Green, you got to start coming forward. Michael Triscaro's in an okay spot, although I got to imagine he wants to be out of the middle of the pack. That's the hornet's nest, especially late in the race. Wyatt Gray's in a pretty good spot, 4th on the bottom. He'll find a way to push his way clear, I'm sure here. It's 3 good cars on the bottom, 3 championship cars, by the way, 3rd, 5th, 7th. Flanagan, McCullough, Gray, then Triscaro just outside the top 10. Carlbahn is back in the 20th-ish position, back there around towards the tail end of this lead group. So all these championship guys starting to come to the front at the right time, but it's a matter of, are they in the right spot or are they in the wrong spot based on what we've seen throughout the night?
There's no possible way to answer that question either. You never know if you're in the right, the wrong. It's wrong place, wrong time, maybe right place, right time. And you just never know. There's no way of telling if you are in either one of those camps. But there's a new name leading the race, and that is Bryce Delaban. Has found his way to the lead here with 24 laps to go when we take the green flag. Nick Sipple up to 2nd with his teammate Brian Hennings behind him. David Flanagan 3rd, Josh McCullough up to 5th. Adam Young 6th, Gordon Spain 7th, Wyatt Gray still hanging tough in 8th, Hunter Hastings back to 9th, Ron Morris rounding out the top 10 for this restart. We saw Bryce Delaban involved in a big stack-up early on in the race, the second caution on tonight's event. Got it all fixed. That nose was pretty caved in, and right now it looks brand new as well. Good news for the 28 machine. He's going to roll into the restart box right here. David Flanagan undoubtedly going to be right there on his bumper, giving him a huge shove going into 1. A pretty good jump for the 28 right there, but not good enough. The PGR teammates going to most likely have the edge over the 28 machine heading into 1.
I'll tell you this much. Brian Hennings over the past several weeks, we've talked about the hot streak he's on. Tonight, composed, confident, very, very solid moves racecraft-wise, and I'll tell you, maybe a look into the future. Brian Hennings is one of those names that you may not look at first on a list. They're not going to pop out at you like a Zach Novak later in the week or a Parker White, the defending Coke Series champ, or someone like that that's in the field. But Brian Hennings is as solid gets. And tonight, he's had one of his best nights, I think, in a long time. And so far, he's in a spot to win it. He's got his teammate in front of him now. On the bottom side, though, championship guy is going to be pushing just a little bit harder. David Flanagan, Wyatt Gray. Look at Flanagan up on the nose of Nick Seipel. The Jack Shack entry, the 31 is going to go to the front unless Seipel splits him, which he does. Cutthroat for the 75. Flanagan's got to wait on a teammate. He's going to get help from his contender in Josh McCullough up against the safer barrier.
What a move by Nick Sipple and Brian Hennings. They are well clear. Josh McCullough did not come to the 31's aid soon enough. Power move by the 75 and the 74. Who knows, we might see David Flanagan return the favor. 2x2 racing all throughout the pack. There is a second pack being formed with some damaged vehicles, but up front, it is all Bryce Delaban heading into 3.
Yeah, Wyatt Gray pushed him all the way clear. Ron Morris getting clear as well. Going to bring Chris Melton with him. They're going to try to jump around the outside. Thought better of it. Jump back down. Wyatt Gray content to run the yellow line, and I kind of wondered this. If they just kept the lead line on the bottom, would it just kind of make the field log lapse? And it looks like that's exactly what this lead pack is going to do. Of the championship guys, the one I see in this lead pack is going to be Wyatt Gray. I see him, Josh McCullough. I see David Flanagan. I see Michael Triscaro. And I see Evan Carlbahn. I do not see Austin Green. He has fallen off the lead trap. He's going to have some help in the form of a caution. And they're going to start racing again. Here comes Josh McCullough from McCullough Motorsports on the outside in the 5. That red and black Toyota. He's got help from the PGR teammates as well as the Jack Shack entry. David Flanagan hanging tough. There's Adam Young, a guy you talked about earlier. He's in the lead draft as well.
Hunter Hastings following back, 6th in line on the top, falling a little bit back to the bumper of Mark Vondell. Behind that, Evan Carlbahn hanging tough. Kind of at the back of this lead pack. Look at the run by the outside. Oh, what a move by Gordon Spain. And back down to the bottom goes Nick Sipple. Brian Hennings following him. Here comes David Flanagan returning the favor to Josh McCullough. Going to stick with him. Return that favor. Josh came to him at his aid, I should say, beforehand. David going to push him clear into 1.
Yeah, Seipel, that was a good move. They didn't get the help that they needed, and they're going to fall back in line here, 4th and 5th on the inside. But I respect the move by the PGR teammates. That the will of these championship guys, though, is eventually going to come to a head, and it does now. 1, 2, 4 are the championship drivers here at the front, and a couple more are starting to work their way forward. Big block up top. David Flanagan all the way to the safer barrier with that one. He goes around for the lead, and now the 31 down to side trap. No help. Gray says no dice. Bye-bye. David Flanagan going to the back goes to 31. His teammate, no, excuse me, not his teammate. It'll be Michael Triscaro that ducks out of line. Oh, man, David Flanagan, the loneliest man in the world in the middle of the racetrack right now.
Josh McCullough, Wyatt Gray, 2 championship contenders going to be leading both of the lines right now. All the help's on the top. Gordon Spain up to P3. What a run for the 38 machine. Hunter Hastings behind him as well. Wyatt Gray getting that solid push from Ron Morris. Will Ron Morris stick behind him, or will he hop down in front of his MMS teammate Josh McCullough? So far, just sticking where he is. Another move to the middle. The 74 and the 75 are absolutely locked together. Right at... Oh, there goes Morris down to the bottom at the 76. Those PGR teammates, Sipple and Hennings, will not be separated. They go make every move together. Right now, they go middle. Not a lot of help. Some congestion now forming. Gray down to the bottom of the side draft. Morris, he's going to stick middle, being indecisive. Problems. Brian Hennings around. There goes.
Guys here, looks like they all got through it.
Brian Hennings, as we speak about him, going to be involved in this one. Bryce Delaban in the 28 involved as well. Oh, Brian Hennings going to spin back across the racetrack and save it. Luckily, before, I believe, Dalton Steele in the 41 could have added to even more damage. Looks like, I mean, Brian Hennings looks perfectly fine damage-wise. But let's go take a look. This kind of started the middle of this lead pack. Okay, interesting kind of look here. Let's take this up top. Focus on Brian Hennings, that green and black 74 machine. That is going to be Chris Melton pushing him. They come down the track. Adam Young in the 22 riding a little bit high, and some netcode. Once again, between the 22 and the 52 is going to spin Adam Young up into Brian Hennings. Chris Melton kind of parallel parking between Hunter Hastings and Mark Vondell. They're going to get away okay, but the trouble continues further down the track. Bryce Delaban nowhere to go. Hennings still saving it, going to spin into pit road. Actually spin just a little bit before the commitment cone. Good for him. Let's take this back, get a couple more angles right here. That 74, we saw him and his teammate Nick Sipple in absolute lockstep here tonight. Unfortunately, Sipple now losing his teammate at least temporarily. So he's going to be wanting him to come back through the field quickly. Like I said, not a lot of damage in this crash that I'm seeing at least. Adam Young getting away fine, Delaban as well. Unless this wreck might have continued up front. Let's take a look at Chris Melton. The 52, those guys just kind of got in the wall a little bit, and they're going to get away okay, too. There's Triscaro in the 34. Carl Bond also narrowly escaping this one.
Yeah, tough break, and I'll personally take the blame for that one. So, Brian Hennings, if you're watching this one back, that's on me. But right after I talked about him, of course, him and his teammate Nick Seipel making all the right moves. Netcode gets in the way of those, and now Hennings gets turned. Now he gets lucky, number one, that he didn't really hit anything and doesn't have a lot of damage, and number two, that when he spun back across the racetrack that he didn't get hit. And actually there's a third benefit, and that's really, he didn't lose a ton of positions because of where that second pack was on track, and all those guys were damaged as it is. He can come in, get some damage fixed, and really only be just inside the top 20, which is still well within striking distance. So Brian Hennings, very much lucky on 3 different counts here in the late stages of this race. And again, a guy on a streak like his, he can absolutely make his way back through the pack. I have no doubt in my mind he's got some guys back there as well, including Austin Green. They're kind of going to have to start to come forward. They really have no choice, as well as David Flanagan, who's now 15th on the racetrack.
Yeah, getting that look at the 74 of Hennings, looking all good on his car damage-wise. Just a little bit of a setback here. His teammate, Sipple, sitting in P3 in the 75 machine. Wyatt Graves found his way back to the lead. Josh McCullough still sitting in 5th. Michael Triscaro back in 9th. Evan Carlbon in the 11th position, working his way back through the field. You mentioned Austin Green. Austin Green is way back in the 24th, still getting damage repaired right here for the 87 ride. Sitting 24th position right now, and then David Flanagan, after getting split by the PGR teammates in a 31 machine, will be in P15 when we restart this one. Well, I'll tell you what, this has been a very fun race to sit up here in the booth and broadcast with y'all. Lots of guys, I actually point this out first, on the apron saving some fuel. Could fuel become a factor in this one? 7 cautions down, we'd be restarting with 16 laps to go. Lots of guys riding down there on the apron, saving every drop they can. And wouldn't that just be perfect, Dawson? Have some fuel strategy be introduced into this one for these championship contenders.
Well, a 70% fuel load tonight means probably that they are very close to the number based on when all these guys came back down pit road and got some more Sunoco fuel. So I would think that maybe it's now becoming a bit of a factor. Maybe not that any of these guys are short, but maybe that if we get 1, 2 green-white checkers like this race seems to be shaping up to have here down the line, maybe then fuel becomes an issue, unless, like Wyatt Gray and Ron Morris and Seipel and Spain and these guys are doing, you run down on the flat, save them a couple laps of gas, and kind of bank yourself on, okay, we're going to have a couple overtime attempts. Let me just save enough just in case. Give myself some peace of mind, especially if you're Wyatt Gray or Josh McCullough or Carl Bond or Triscaro here, you don't want fuel coming up when you're potentially trying to make a pass for a championship. You don't want to have to worry about the fuel gauge and whether or not you're going to be on E before you get to the checker flag.
Yeah, definitely not. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention tonight's bonus presented by Danny Barnes, the Kyler Wynn Award, for the person that throws the worst block of the race. And if there is not one that is determined, then the first driver outside the money will be receiving $20. That is a bonus put up by Danny Barnes of the formerly known Hyper Motorsports. Been a big contributor to the Lite Series as well as the Jack Shack has been. That Hyper Shack logo up there in the top right of your screen. Tribute to them for being a part of this Lite Series, giving us some funding so we can have this fun and determine a champion for season number 1. And right now, Wyatt Gray sitting up there looking like the best guy. Do not count out Joshua McCullough. That guy is someone as how should I put it, brazen as he can be sometimes on the racetrack. He is definitely someone that is a solid race car driver and knows exactly what moves to make when it comes down to crunch time. Keep an eye on that number 5 machine, starting third on the bottom here with 17 laps to go.
Well, again, a guy that's won a championship in a format like this before, Josh McCullough, and he's one of 2 guys in the field tonight that have done that. Michael Triscaro being the other one. They're Little Guy Series champs, the only 2 of 8 that have ever kind of been in this position, shall we say, in terms of these guys have been able to overcome adversity and win a championship. Those are the only 2 guys out of the 8 that had that experience coming into tonight. Stephen Miles won a league championship a while back as well. So 3 of the 8 guys came in with experience on how to win these kinds of things, and only 2 are left on the racetrack. Wyatt Gray is the leader, though. He's going to be tough to beat. Seipel, a bit of a wild card behind him. Green flag back in the air. 16 laps to go. Look at the jump on the bottom. Gray, Seipel off and running tandem together. Morris jumps in front of his teammate Josh McCullough. And it leaves on the outside only Gordon Spain, who kind of waits for some help. They're going to get 4, 5. Are they going to get to 6 clear by the time they get off the banking? Field works onto the Alabama Gang super stretch. And so far, that top line is dead in the water. 5 guys clear, make it 6 on the backstretch.
To the detriment of Michael Triscaro, who makes a move down to the middle. No help there. 4 cars jump up. McCullough, Melton, Schreckengoss, Carl Bonds made his way to the top 10. He thinks better of it, hops down to the bottom behind Josh McCullough in front of Axel Smith. Going to be a little bit more conservative. Into the top 5 now is Carl Bond. Going to be third of the championship guys, Gray and McCullough. Oh, Gordon Spain around to the back. Is he going to save it? He's working it. He's working it. What a save by Gordon Spain in the 38. What a job by the rest of the field avoiding him as well. Gordon Spain with the save of the night here.
Oh, and they got to make it quick for Chris Melton on back. They got to get in line quickly here or they're going to lose the draft. It looks like they've averted crisis for the time being, and that pack does include Michael Triscaro. And now the caution flag is out for an incident, I believe, further back.
Well, there we go. And it involves Austin Green in the 87. Again, what a night. Started well, turned extremely poor for Austin Green here. Yellow flag out, saving those guys in danger of losing the draft. Let's go back and see it. So this actually occurred in front. This is going to involve William Rice and Sterling Theis in the 37 and the 17 machines. Take this up top and see what's going on right here. Looks like maybe William Rice trying to get down to the bottom in front of Sterling Theis. Makes a move. I'm not sure. Maybe a little bit of meeting in the middle between the 37 and the 17. That's going to spin Rice around. Back up Gordon Spain narrowly avoids. And then Austin Green, last second. Sterling Theis spinning in front of him. Going to get significant nose damage on the 87.
Oh, I mean, the toughest of tough breaks. A guy who saw his night go awry twice. Finally, it started to get it going back the right direction, get some damage fixed and focus forward. And you're right back to square one and potentially even a worse square one than before. This is such a tough break for Austin Green as he tried to get through this. And we'll see if he can fix it. Obviously, he's going to go try. No point in not trying with 14 laps to go. But, I mean, the toughest of tough breaks, and now potentially leaning on here the 3rd championship driver to have almost race-ending damage.
I mean, this is like number 4 or 5 for Austin Green here tonight, and just nothing he could do. Just gets taken, not exactly a blindside hit by Sterling Theis, but when you're sitting there riding on the apron right there, look at the damage to the nose. You can see the hood all crinkled up. Just when you're riding on the apron right there, not a lot you can do steering-wise, not a lot of grip down there. You can't really take evasive action like you could up on the high banking of Talladega, but Austin Green, night turned good from bad to worse to ugly to now ugliest for Austin Green in the 87. But this was caused by the miscommunication between William Rice and Sterling Theis. I want to see if we can get a better angle of this because I can't really tell who was moving up, who was moving down. See if this angle might tell us something. Slow motion. Rice up top, he's going to come down way more than Sterling Theis and then just chop Theis's nose off. So Sterling Theis, innocent bystander here, as well as Austin Green. Gordon Spain, 38, taking evasive action. Josh Ambroni, Wesley Lynch as well. Tough break for Austin Green again, and Rice and Theis here coming to the closing stages of this race. Be 13 laps to go, and there's Green sitting in the pits. A very common place. Looks like, has the engine expired for Austin Green? Lots of smoke going on. What's going on here? He's not in his box. He missed his trying to get into his box. There is significant wheel damage for Austin Green. That will be the end of Austin Green's championship run in the PGR Lite Series season number 1.
Man, really tough break. A guy that had similar luck back in the Little Guys Series running for championships. Unfortunately, it follows him here into the PGR Lite Series as he's unable to fulfill his goal, at least for the time being. We'll see if any kind of miracle happens aboard the 87. That's going to leave only 5 guys left. Oh, by the way, they're all inside the top 12, running currently 1st, 4th, 5th, 7th, and 12th are our championship guys that are actually on the racetrack still at this point. They've all migrated forward. I mean, Triscaro started 10th, but Carlbahn, Flanagan, McCullough have all come to the front over the last 20 laps or so, and you could not have set it up much better than this. All 5 guys inside the top 12 positions on the racetrack, and now you kind of get into that. Number 1, you look for your teammates, and number 2, you start to be a little more cutthroat. If you're a championship guy, you've got to get to the front. Your best hope potentially of winning the title now lies in winning the race, going to victory lane, claiming all that prize money for yourself.
And I'll tell you what, like you mentioned the teammates, the teammate combination here, there was one with Austin Green and Josh McCullough. Green is now neutralized, so Josh McCullough has no help. That is a championship contender. Carlbahn and Flanagan are Jack Shack teammates. Carlbahn sits in front of Flanagan and Axel Smith. They will be lining up down here on the bottom, 3rd and 4th on the bottom. What are these two going to do? You know they're talking together. You know they're communicating as we speak. What's it going to come down to? What kind of moves are we going to see made by the Jack Shack drivers of Evan Carlbahn and David Flanagan? Will they play nice? Will they play dirty? We don't know, and we're going to find out. 12 laps to go. There'll be 11 when we take the green flag. Wyatt Gray still dominating this thing, the leader of the race. Shout out to Nick Sipple again, hanging tough, sitting there about top 3 for the majority of this race. He's got to look at winning this thing. Axel Smith, a great run in 6th. Steve Sizemore in 7th. Michael Barksdale, 7th. Chris Melton's found his way back to the edge of the top 10. I have zero idea what to expect here, Dawson.
Well, the chaos has already been through the first 48 laps, and we still have 12 more to go. And, is fuel going to become a factor now? And you talk about the teammates, again, a position I've been in before in a championship format where I was teammates with someone that I was technically competing against, and there was kind of this agreement. Okay, we're going to play nice, we're going to play teammate, we're going to get to the front, and then the dream scenario, you're 1-2, you tandem away from the field off 4, and then from there, you race it out, you drag race, whoever comes forward and wins the race, and then you celebrate his teammates after that. And will that be the mindset here for Flanagan and Carlbahn, both guys that want this win badly? They want the not only the prestige of being a Light Series champion, but also being able to graduate on from this series, and even more so, the momentum. What a win would be going into this week in this car the night before the event starts. Oh, I can only imagine the momentum, the boost that you feel in confidence as a driver if you win tonight. And then, especially if you're one of the guys that races tomorrow, man, 24 hours, you have a serious adrenaline boost and momentum boost going into the biggest event of the year.
I will point out something, a short story before we go back green. There was an event, a Little Guys Series, presented by Dega Pro's John Ward Series, that involved 2 championship guys. They were Evan Carlbahn and David Flanagan. They were on a team together. Carlbahn had that thing in his hands, and Tucker McClendon came through and ended up taking it from him. David Flanagan remembers that. He has always remembered that and has felt that he has owed Evan Carlbahn. We'll see if that does come to fruition between those 2 drivers. Up front, Wyatt Gray. Nick Sipple, what a shove on the top. Josh McCullough getting connected immediately to the purple 75. He might have the nose over Gray heading into 1.
Something happened to Wyatt Gray right there on that restart. I'm not sure what happened underneath the controls of the 18, but he didn't really fire off all that well. Now, he gets a little help from behind. Lucky that it didn't stack the lineup and cause a caution. But everybody able to get in the brakes and get on the back bumper of their respective partners here. And the dance partners have formed. It's Seipel on the top side. He's got Josh McCullough with him, who is now the provisional championship leader, but not for long. Here comes the bottom. Man, Nick Seipel to 75. Another home run. Move out back. Michael Wingo trouble. He's going around. Is he going to save it? I think he does. He's still trying to save it. Michael Wingo. We got to keep our focus up front, though, until the caution flag comes out. Off turn number 4. Look at Josh McCullough in the perfect time. McCullough going to try to go to the lead in both the race and the championship. 10 laps to go.
What a save by the 36 of Michael Wingo up front. Sipple, McCullough, the battle right now. Wyatt Gray. Oh, contact Axel Smith. What a save. They're still trying to save it. Carl Bond going to come back up on the racetrack. David Flanagan missing. Goodness gracious, he's going to get hooked. Mark Vondell gets turned. He's going to still try and save it. Another save. What is happening? These saves are going crazy. Evan Carbon needs help, and he needs it now. He needs Hunter Hastings on his bumper, and he's not going to get it. Adam Young up top, not going to be helping the cause either. Carbon might be okay, but that has kind of spread this lead pack thin and given more of a chance to Gray, McCullough, and Flanagan. A 4-car breakaway up front of Sipple, Gray, Morris, and McCullough heading out of 4.
They gotta get in line. Carbon and that group back there have to get in line, and then the group along in front of them has to stay in line as well. 9 laps to go with the line. Looks like we're going to have 3 of our championship, 5 remaining, shall we say, here at the front of the field. Then a couple more a little further back. In fact, no, excuse me. Make that 4 of our 5 are now inside the top 9. Stack up. Back to Triscaro. He dives to the apron and miss it. Something happened in the middle of the first pack, and now that second group led by Axel Smith, they've got a serious run back to the field. Carlbon is in that group, and they're going to have a monster run when they get there. Evan Carlbon's going to have to throw maybe his Hail Mary. Flanagan, Triscaro now biding their time. So too is Josh McCullough. McCullough and Gray have made out kind of like bandits here off turn number 4. And Nick Seipel, this has got to be a pretty lonely feeling looking out back, seeing all those championship cars behind you.
Sure enough, Flanagan, Delaban hop up to the top side. Steve Sizemore throws the block on the 31. Carlbon, Smith, Hastings did a great job catching back up to this pack. Still a little breakaway. Wyatt Gray is hot. He's gathering his temperatures, as you can see, getting off the rear bumper of Nick Sipple. That is going to allow, Dave Flanagan a little bit up the racetrack. These checkups are getting wild. Triscaro, Carlbon, all 3 of our championship guys are just kind of on the bottom. Victim to these checkups right now. That outside line holding strong. Steve Sizemore with a look at the lead heading into 3.
Yeah, he's trying, but he's not really getting very much. He's going
to turn himself.
He's going to get turned.
And he's saving it. Axel Smith. Josh McCullough
is involved. Oh, no, McCullough. Now Josh McCullough gets involved after the caution flag comes out.
Sizemore's still working it, and he's going to save it. He put some work in trying to save that thing. Josh McCullough with some damage, and it didn't look like a very...
Michael Triscaro as well.
Big hit, but Triscaro involved in the accident as well. Let's take a look at Michael. Again, not crazy damage that I'm seeing on either of these cars. The 34 Triscaro with some right front damage, as we can see. Carlbon going to make it away okay. Josh McCullough with some right front as well. Steve Sizemore, some left rear damage right there. I'll tell you, just from the initial glance at what I saw, I'm pretty sure that this was a misjudgment by the 8 of Steve Sizemore, thinking he had a hold down to the bottom. And unfortunately, it just was not there for the 8 machine. But he did what a job by Sizemore holding on to it as long as he could, albeit with a little bit of damage from this incident. Let's go back and see. See if we can get a few more angles of this. Here we go. Sizemore down to the bottom. He just doesn't have it in front of Ron Morris. And that's just a tough break. But Sizemore, there he is drifting it. Morris, nothing he could do. He just kind of ended up in his lap. And then Axel Smith, the contact right there. That's probably going to end Axel Smith's night. Look at this hit. Bam! Into the outside wall. Triscaro getting the piece of Smith right there. On that right front, that's where Triscaro's damage came from. And then further up, Josh McCullough getting his piece of the accident on that right front. But again, nothing too terrible. Unless there was an awkward hit on the wheel for either McCullough or Triscaro, I'd venture to say that they are okay. Like, they don't have to do anything crazy. They don't have to pit and repair everything. It's nothing like that. At least from my perspective. They might feel differently, and we're going to find out. But let's take a look and focus this on Josh McCullough. Let's see how he gets involved in this. He sees the crash, jumps down to the apron, as does a few other guys. The big hit from Smith in the back, and then comes up. Just a little bit of contact between him and Sizemore, and then Sizemore, as he's trying to save it, is going to drift it back down into McCullough's right front fender and worsen the damage for the number 5 machine.
Well, it must have been a little too much to bear for Michael Triscaro as he comes to pit road to fix it. He'll be all the way outside the top 20. Must have been some wheel damage aboard that 34 machine. So now a bit of a titanic effort has to be made here if he's going to win the championship. McCullough decides he's going to stay out. It's not worth it to come get the damage fixed. And honestly, I kind of agree with the assessment. Looks to me like the right front, it's up enough that I think he can stay out there. Now, will it have any impact on the car? We're going to have to wait and see. But as a championship guy, you really have no choice. If it's still driving straight, you really don't have a choice. You have to stay out. You have to keep yourself in contention because now, I mean, Triscaro's going to need probably 2 cautions and to gain a lot of track position here and also not get involved in any more wrecks as well in the 34. So, unfortunately, a bit of a long shot for him. Now, for the other guys up here, 4 of them left now. They're all inside the top 11. You just saw that wreck happen, and now you're thinking, oh, man, you're still not safe with 5 laps to go. You can't think about the championship because you got to think about missing the incidents around you first.
That's always, I guess you could say, objective number 1 when it comes to super speedway racing is just survive. Just go out and survive, make sure all the crashes don't involve you, miss them for all you are worth. And so far, the people that have done a good job of that is Wyatt Gray. Yes, he was involved in one, and I'll say, there's nobody out here, I think, that has been involved in nothing so far. Wyatt Gray was involved in one. McCullough just got a piece of that one. He had a pristine race going, as did Michael Triscaro. Carl Bond, we saw what happened to him. He was taken out on lap 4. Extensive damage to the 78. He's sitting here in the top 10. He gets spun down, almost coming back into the field. Did come back into the field in turn 1. Luckily, everyone managed to miss him, but now the dynamic between the Jack Shack teammates of Carl Bond and Flanagan has now changed. Flanagan is up in front of Carl Bond, but Carl Bond is now on the top side. Both of them were bottom prior. Flanagan still is. Carl Bond's up top. Do we think that he's going to try and do something to allow his teammate up so they can advance and move forward through the rest of this field in front of them? About 8-9 guys in front of Carl Bond right now. But up front, the leader of the race is Nick Sipple. He is still doing an amazing job at the front of this race. But his biggest threat right now is Wyatt Gray. And I'll point out, look who's made his appearance back up here also, Dawson. Brian Hennings is now sitting third. Currently, technically fourth in track position standards. Going to be pushing his teammate, Nick Sipple, here. And that has been proven to be quite the effective combo when we restart this for 4 laps to go.
And 2 guys that have been kind of inseparable throughout the race. Any move the 75 has made, the 74 has pretty much been with him. And he's back with him now with 4 to go. Now, of course, those 2 are going to be challenged by Wyatt Gray, who you'd love to just walk off and win, not leave it to having to race anybody. Just get to the line first yourself, and then you're automatically the champion. But now, again, you talk about those Jack Shack teammates. You can conceptualize it all you want. You can do all the hypotheticals, which I'm sure these guys are doing. Well, if there's a gap, get up, and if not, we're just going to ride it out, kind of see which line moves. Maybe we'll go to the middle. You can conceptualize it all you want. When the race goes back green, only one of those things is going to happen. You're not necessarily going to get the hypotheticals. You're not necessarily going to be able to line up behind your teammate. At this point in the race, Flanagan, Carl Bond, you got to race for yourself. You got to make the move that benefits yourself and put yourself in a position to win this title. Seipel and Hennings, they don't care about a title. They just want to go 1-2 in this race and walk off the season. Wyatt Gray trying to deny them and win all the glory for himself. 4 laps to go. Great flag. Look at the jump. The PGR teammates get on the top side. They're gone towards the banking of 1. Seipel, Hennings are going to drop bottom, and that's a smart move in front of the championship contender Wyatt Gray. Carl Bond needs some help, and he needs it in a hurry. The 78's kind of in no man's land back there, third on the top side.
Josh Ambroni coming to his aid. Also, looks like Dalton Steele, maybe Sterling Thice coming also to that aid. Right now, Bryce Delaban in the 28 going to hop up, try to lead the line. Going to rely on a push from the 76 of Ron Morris. Those 3 down there, the 4 of them now. Carl Bond topside. Jambroni going to follow. What a move. This might be exactly what they needed Josh Zambroni's close with Evan Carlbon. I'm sure he would want to see his friend come out here and win, but he's going to ditch him. He's going to hop back down in front of Hunter Hastings and try and gather that run back. Chris Melton hopping up to the middle. That outside line's just dead out here right now, Dawson.
Yeah, they just have no help. Carlbon's going to have to dive in line, I think. He really has no choice. He's going to choose to stay up here, try to continue to come forward, but he just doesn't really have much time. Now Flanagan gets up to 31. That's going to give some run to that top lane. Now they get another car out back. Rice to the van. Pushed by Ron Morris. Going to try to break up the PGR teammates. Big block by Seipel. Dulaman goes a lane higher out of the safer barrier. Down the Alabama King super stretch. Look at David Flanagan. Third in line on the outside. The prospective championship leader right now. In fact, side by side for what would be the title. Now Flanagan leads the top line. What a fortuitous position for David Flanagan to be in. He's got Wyatt Gray boxed in, and his teammate is 2 cars back.
Coming to 2 laps to go, but keep in mind that his teammate is back there, but what will Carlbon do to look out for himself? Seipel to the top side, getting a push from Flanagan. They try to come up, Morris and Delaban. It's not there, Seipel. Loose with the push from Flanagan. He saves it. David, they're about that, the 78. The Jack Shack teammates now lined up. Evan Carlbon and David Flanagan, the 2 leaders of the championship in turn number 2.
Nick Seipel, he's blocking left and right. Carlbon to the bottom. He beats his teammate to the punch. But Carlbon now side by side with his teammate, potentially for a championship. He's going to push Seipel. He's going to jump up in front. It's now Flanagan on the back end of his teammate, Evan Carlbon. Back towards number 3. Look at Wyatt Gray. Gray gets hung out. He's going backwards. Flanagan turns left. Trouble out back with Dooley.
There it is. Big crash. Massive crash.
Wyatt Gray is involved.
Wyatt Gray involved. Chris Melton, James Wagner is actually going to be okay here. Someone was riding on top of the wall. Bryce Delaban, a good run turned sour for Delaban involved as well. What a massive crash coming to the white flag of the race. In the back, it looked like Flanagan might have tried to clear down. I'm not sure what really, I'll have to take a look at it before I say anything further. Flanagan might be trying to clear down in front of Delaban right here, try and pull the same move his teammate Carlbon did, but it was just not exactly there for the 31 machine. Let's take it up top. Take a look. Flanagan's there. He's going to try and come down, and the spot's there. It is there. He might be hesitating a little bit here. He hesitates very slightly, and Ron Morris is not lifting on the back bumper of Bryce Delaban. It's going to spin Delaban Morris up to the middle to try and avoid. Delaban back up the track, and the carnage ensues. Dalton Steele, 41, nowhere to go. Look at Chris Melton get launched up into the catch fence. For Christopher Melton on top of this entire group of cars. Wyatt Gray in the 18 on the bottom. Going to get knocked off Gordon Spain. Going to come back up the racetrack. Might get a hit from Michael Barksdale as well in the 4 machine as Chris Melton still rides the wall on the exit of 4. Wild crash here with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, it's heartbreak for Wyatt Gray, a guy that ran up front all night just to get involved in a late race incident that potentially, we'll take a look. Oh, man, he's not even going to make it back to his pit box. Tonight, and the season ends for Wyatt Gray with 2 laps to go. He could see the white flag. He gets hung out, and he gets caught in the wreck that happens in front of him. Oh, the toughest of breaks for Wyatt Gray. Takes another guy out of the championship race for Melton. One of the wildest rides we've seen in a long time. He did a guy back in the Nationwide Series like 10, 12 years ago got in the fence just like that in turn 4. Ripped the fencing down. That's kind of what Chris Melton looked like right there. Along for the ride was the 49 machine, and he's going to be done for the night, surely. Parts came flying off that car all over the banking of turns 3 and 4. So now we're down to 4 guys remaining for the championship all of a sudden. 2 of them are teammates. Obviously, well, Flanagan's all the way back here in turn 1. Not sure what happened. The 31's got some kind of issue, a penalty perhaps on the 31. Not sure for what, but he's all the way at the tail end. Did he potentially get called as cause of caution? And if so, oh man, almost a death blow to his championship hopes here.
That would be the only logical explanation. That David Flanagan, championship contender, has been penalized for that crash. And that leaves who else but the guy that has risen from the dead, Evan Carlbon, the leader of the race. Where did he come from? The amount of damage that was on that car was obscene. I mean, it looked like his night was over. He gets it all fixed up, and that tribute to his dad, that paint scheme for the Jack Shack, what a special win it would be. There are 6 cars back to his next contender, Joshua McCullough. Still with a little bit of damage on his race car. Might be affecting him in some sort of way. And then it's Michael Triscaro, who now it looks like might have been a good move for him to come in and repair his damage. He is now sitting in 9th position, 3rd of the championship contenders. And let me specify, I know that Carl Bond's name does not have the P next to it. Believe me, he is a championship contender. That was a technical issue prior to the race. Do not forget the 78 is in the championship. Following out back, Hunter Hastings, what a great run for him tonight. Still hanging in the top 10. Barksdale up in, 6th position with a little bit of damage on him. Dalton Steele was involved in the crash. He had his teammate Chris Melton on top of him in that crash, but Steele sitting in the 5th position. Then Gordon Spain here in 4th. I'll tell you what this X factor could be for Evan Carlbon. The teammates are going to be locked together again. Sipple and Hennings. They are 2nd and 3rd. Depending on what lane Carlbon chooses here, he's going to choose the bottom. Probably a wise choice. He wants to separate the PGR teammates of Sipple and Hennings. If they can get together, that could parachute the 78 last worst case scenario for Evan Carlbon.
Yeah, I think it's the wisest choice. I've been in this position as a driver where you're leading the race and you want to separate teammates. I think this is the best choice considering how well that those two cars have worked together. You also now can put those championship contenders directly in your mirror as well. McCullough Triscara will also restart on the bottom lane, 4th and 5th in line. And if you're Carlbon now, you have the vision of, okay, I can see those guys now. I can see the line they're in. I don't have to side draft. I can just bring myself clear, and then we can get off to the races. And hopefully, for Carlbon's sake, he's hoping that line doesn't get going. I'll tell you what, though, McCullough, Triscaro, Flanagan, they're going to be driving. They're going to be driving like chickens with their heads cut off here. They're going to be driving with no abandon. Championship now is in your grasp. Carlbon, I don't think he's done getting challenged. The biggest factor, he does not have to win the race to win the championship. He can finish 2nd, he can finish 3rd, and still be Lite Series champion. You may want to go make some backdoor deals here with the PGR cars at the front. Maybe his best shot at winning this one with some guys still out back.
Definitely in his best interest to try and speak to Brian Hennings and speak to Dalton Steele. Please be nice to me right now. Say some things like that. And, these guys are not oblivious. They're aware of the guys around them. They know that Evan Carlbon is currently the, prospective champion in this position right now. And they obviously don't want to upset that apple cart and wreck any championship contenders. So I'm sure Evan, as you said, is trying to communicate to them right now, hey, look, I can return a favor, I can do this, I can do that, I'll do whatever. Just protect me here at all costs. The pace car rolls into pit road. 2 laps to go when they take the green flag. Carlbon, Sipple, Hennings, Spain, Steele, Barksdale, McCullough, Wagner, Triscaro, and Hastings. Going to be battling it all out here. Carlbon approaching the restart zone this time. Going to be relying on that push from the 74 of Hennings. Carlbon's going to wait for the green flag to fly. There it is. Hennings gets a good connection to him. Seipel, no help on the top side.
Yeah, that's why it was a wise decision here for Carlbon. Unless that help gets to Seipel here on the entrance of turn 1, it will, but I think it's a millisecond too late. Clear to the lead is a Jack Shack 7 Carlbon, potentially 5.5 miles from the biggest win of his career. Out back, look for Triscaro, McCullough, and Flanagan trouble.
Crashing.
Out back behind the leaders. They're going to wreck, and Flanagan is involved. The 31 goes spinning down the backstretch.
David Flanagan, his night from bad to worse. It was in a position. Oh, James Waring going to get contact as well. David Flanagan, a lot of damage on the 31 machine, and they keep falling like flies here. Flanagan, there was 4 guys left, and with that damage right now, it doesn't look too good for the 31. Maybe potentially a little wheel damage if I was seeing that correctly. The nose doesn't look good either. Maybe it's not too horrible for Flanagan, but this is definitely going to put him behind the 8 ball and leave mainly just 3 guys left. Carlbon, McCullough, Triscaro to battle out the championship. Let's go see. Pretty sure we saw the 12 of Ryan Schreckengost get hooked out of turn number 2. Let's take a look. Sure enough, okay, we're 3 wide right here. The 12 of Schreckengost. Wesley Lynch trying to go under him. James Waring in 13 goes with him. A little bit of an offset push to Lynch. Might have shot him up the racetrack a little bit into the left rear of the 12 of Schreckengost. Down into Michael Wingo. Going to get a piece. Might netcode through. Good for him. Then David Flanagan, 31. Nowhere to go as Wesley Lynch comes back up the racetrack. The crash continues. Waring going to get a piece. Flanagan drifting that car back to the right to make sure he didn't take a nose-first shot into the inside wall. And like we said, they keep falling apart here for these championship guys. And you kind of be remiss if you didn't ask who's next.
Oh, man. Flanagan, this is a really tough break because he gets called for the cause of caution on the last incident, has to go to the back of the field. Right when he gets to the back of the field, he gets involved in a wreck. It's a tough break. Now, he doesn't have a ton of damage. I'm curious how far the wheel is off of alignment here for David Flanagan, but not a ton of damage. He still scored in the 18th position, so not the end of the world. Wesley Lynch gets hit. He did not mean to hit Ryan Schreckengost here by any means. Waring gets in the back of him, kind of, like you said, shoots him up to his right. By the time he can react, he's already getting in the left rear of Schreckengost. A tough break for all cars involved, especially, though, David Flanagan, innocent bystander, just thinking about how am I going to get back to the front, and then bang, you're involved in a wreck, and now your night goes from bad to worse.
Not at all a good sign for Flanagan, but his race is by no means over. You can never, ever be counted out of these things. Let's take a look at him in the live shot. Fixing his damage. There he is. That car does not look bad. Not a lot of wheel damage like I initially said that I might have seen. When he was driving away the onboard shot, it looked like the steering wheel was still straight. So looks like mostly cosmetic for David Flanagan. A lucky break for the 31 considering how sensitive the wheels are on these cars. Might still be alive here. 11 cautions on the evening. Evan Carlbon still going to be the leader of the race. Sitting in first position, Brian Hennings now going to be behind him, Sipple behind Hennings. So the top three, the same guys, just in a different order. Carlbon's still the leader, but now the PGR teammates are kind of swapped around here. Hennings most likely going to be on the top side, presuming that Carlbon takes the bottom again on this restart. And they seem to work with him on that restart. I will say that. They worked with him a little bit. Then again, we only saw 2 corners. So there's really no telling what to expect here. Josh McCullough has made up one position, as did Michael Triscaro in that whole event right there. They are now 6th and 8th, opposed to 7th and 9th. And that puts them on the outside line. That's the key factor here. They're not trapped on the bottom. Both of them lined up to the outside. And there is no doubt in my mind that Michael Triscaro is actively communicating to Joshua McCullough, telling him, we need to do something here, and we need to do it fast.
So, you kind of get into now the mental decision here for Evan Carlbon. Do you want to trust your gut, stay on the bottom, and separate the teammates? I would almost consider going to the top here on this restart. Here's why. Because, again, it's the visibility, and now if McCullough and Triscaro were to make a bonsai move and try to go around Carlbon, I hate to even, I hate to say that he's going to have to do this, but if they get around Dalton Steele, if I were to start on the top, I'd have to block it. I'd have to move out to the wall and do whatever it takes to get on Josh McCullough's bumper, or else that might be the championship that goes awry. He's not going to do it. He's going to take the bottom. I like the pusher of Nick Seipel here. I like the possibility of having Hennings behind me as well. Dalton Steele does have some damage also. Second on the outside, 4th in the race. He's got a little bit of nose damage, so maybe that all went into it. But man, now if you're Carlbon, if you get stuck, Josh McCullough, Michael Triscaro, they're going to do something big here. And you're going to have to just hope they don't drive past you and that Nick Seipel hangs with you here and doesn't maybe abandon you if he gets clear of his teammate going into 1.
Lots of uncertains that Evan Carlbon just has to put faith in right now and hope that these guys around him, between him and McCullough and Triscaro, will just continue to just work with him and keep him in a at least decent spot. Obviously, they're not going to want to push him to the win or anything, and I'm sure Evan does not expect anything of the sort. But just keep him up there enough to be in front of McCullough and Triscaro. And I will point this out as well. Michael Triscaro is the owner of PGR. These are 2 Team PGR teammates in Hennings and Seipel in the 74 and the 75. They obviously want to go out here and win the race for themselves. But they also do have that kind of side mission of at least kind of not making sure Michael Triscaro wins the championship, but definitely doing a lot of things in their power to ensure that possibility. Sitting in between them, though, is Josh McCullough. And Josh McCullough is obviously not going to play that game. And for Josh, I don't see a single teammate up here. He has nobody. Carlbon doesn't either anymore. His closest help, at least in my eyes, could potentially be the 49 of Josh Giambroni, who sits in 13th position. And this order could definitely shuffle. There's the dead car of Wyatt Gray down there on the bottom. Tough break for the end of the dominant car here tonight. Definitely one guy that we thought would be winning this championship. But now it's down to Carlbon and Hennings. The pace car rolls in for Evan Carlbon. He'll be needing that push from Nick Seipel on the bottom. Carlbon's going to wait once more, go a little bit later into the box. Going to get a good clear. Might be all the way clear. Brian Henning's not good enough, and the bottom line has no momentum. All of the momentum on the top side of Hennings and Steele.
Oh, man, and this is what I was worried about if you're Evan Carlbon, is you now have no help, and all the championship cars are up on the top side, and they're all going to go blazing past him. Now, my question will be, can this bottom line get rolling here down the Alabama Gang super stretch? Can Seipel get Carlbon squared up? If he can, they're going to at least make this interesting, and they do just that. Here comes the bottom. Carlbon's not done yet. As they get into 3, they're going to side draft, but Seipel still...
Oh, Josh Ambroni, big crash. Yellow flag will probably fly again here. It will. There it is.
Now the caution flag is out.
I think Evan Carlbon will be scored ahead of Josh McCullough. Just at a first glance, I'm not entirely sure. But that will put our championship guys 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You can't script it any better than this. Josh Ambroni took a shot in the back. Let's go take a look at him now and see what happened to the 49 machine of Josh Ambroni. Let's see. Big, massive hit. Dead on hook into the outside wall into turn number 3. Looks like Sean Corbett might be pushing him here. Sean Corbett going to get into him and hook Josh Ambroni, and overcorrect from the 49. Smashes it into the outside wall. Corbett's going to get turned in front as well. There he is. Chris Melton's going to get a piece. James Waring, Mark Vondell. Look like he's going to get through. Look at the hit from Corbett to the outside wall. And then the wreck just continues. Jambroni getting more of a piece of it. I think William Rice might have as well. Chris Melton. Back this up and see one more time. Let's focus this on Sean Corbett, the hit he takes. Bam! Even harder hit than Jambroni. Flanagan barely making his way through this. We'll need to take an onboard of David Flanagan and see how he made his way through. Let's take a look. Back it up again. He's kind of sitting here in no man's land, not in the draft, still has damage, losing it. All he has is a hope and a prayer, and at least the hope comes right there. Look at him working his way through.
Whoa, we got problems. Sorry to cut you off, Landon. We got problems under green. As Jambroni has just retaliated under the caution flag. I'm not sure what in the world just happened there.
Jambroni has retaliated.
It's David Flanagan. It's a championship driver that gets wrecked under the caution flag.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Let's take a look. Under the yellow flag. Jambroni approaching. Oh my goodness.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I was gonna say he has some wheel damage on the right front, but I mean that turn to the left is pretty definitive to me in terms of what the intent was there. I mean, I think, again, I don't want to judge. I cannot hear any race comms, so I genuinely don't know. But I mean, that turn to the left looks pretty determined. It looks exactly like he knows where he's going and he's fully capable of getting there.
I'm at a loss for words right now, to be honest. I mean,
what an interesting turn of events, because I'm not sure what he would have had to be mad about with the 31. If the contact was out behind him. Wow, that's what a tough way for David Flanagan's season to come to an end.
I wouldn't say it's come to an end just yet.
Oh, it's come to an end. He's in his pit box. He got destroyed. He got hit at 130, 140 miles an hour.
He did. I mean, definitely a killed rear end, but no. I mean, the wheel looks okay, and there's nothing really else you can say other than unfortunate. I mean, I mean, in my opinion, I'm not going to show bias. I mean, Josh Ambroni's a nightmare driver, and I know all that, but I mean, that's pretty inexcusable to do that in a championship race this late to a championship contender, someone that was trying to work his way back. That's inexcusable, at least in my book. I'm
at a loss for words. You know, if it's If it's somebody that, and even if it's somebody that's not in the championship, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to excuse wrecking into somebody intentionally, but if it's somebody that's not in the hunt for a championship, you're running 30th and they're running 31st, and you're both destroyed, and you want to get some frustration out, you can kind of almost understand it. But when that guy still has a car worthy of competing in this race and potentially, you know, say the top 3 up here, these guys wreck that are running third, fourth, fifth, say they all get in a big wreck on the last lap, you could drive through it and still win. For it to be one of those guys, well, certainly going to be some conversations to be had about that. I'm at a loss for words. I'm speechless. I saw it happen out of the corner of my eye. I'm still completely speechless. And now, I guess Flanagan comes out of the pit lane, but he's got significant damage aboard the 31. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near what it was. And now you got to refocus. You got to all kind of snap and clear from that. We'll talk about that later because we got a championship to win. Carlbon's 4th, McCullough's 3rd, Triscaro 5th. So actually, I'm going to be honest, Landon, I think Evan Carlbon now kind of in the best spot if that top line gets going, led by Dalton Steele, because now he kind of pulls the Uno reverse card on his 2 competitors here.
You're right, but look at the damage for Dalton Steele. The nose of that machine, it's killed. It's not killed. It's still viable, but nowhere near aerodynamically sufficient for Carlbon. But, I mean, obviously Carlbon doesn't have the choice here. It's up to Brian Hennings, who was a leader of the race. The leader picking what line he wants, but I think it's probably wise for Evan to just push as hard as he can to the 41, at least until out of turn 2, and then him and Nick Seipel hop up and try and take his right rear, because that car is just destroyed, and that's going to be a disadvantage to Dalton Steele. But we're going to find out how this goes. 12 cautions down. I'm not sure if this is our last attempt at overtime or not. I believe we still have one more after this, but Brian Hennings is going to be the leader of the race with Steele to his outside, Josh McCullough on the bottom. Hennings is going to wait, and launch about midway through the box. Seipel not connected to Carlbon. Steele hanging tough. Seipel trying to ditch him. He doesn't. He hops back to the top side behind Carlbon into 1.
Oh, now he is going to ditch him, man. Evan Carlbon loses some help. Now you can still tandem up. Josh McCullough's not on Brian Hennings. An opening here for Carlbon if he gets somebody to go with him. He's got help coming out back, but it's a ways back in the form of the 17 of Sterling Theis. Seipel can't decide where he wants to go. Now he goes topside. Carlbon, look at the Herculean push. Does Triscaro look 3 wide? No! He stays in line. Triscaro stays in behind the 78. McCullough's in no man's land in 3.
There goes Carlbon down to the bottom. He's going to try and help Brian Hennings out and trust Hennings as he's going to leave the damaged car of Steele for Michael Triscaro to deal with, and in the process, burying Josh McCullough. White flag this time by Carlbon, hanging on to the pushes barely. Triscaro still trying to work with Dalton Steele. Oh, Carlbon saving it. That's very tough. Now Michael Triscaro in championship contention into 1.
Yeah, but Josh McCullough's not out of it yet. He's got a push from his contender, Carlbon. Triscaro has to survive the last lap. Remember, he's got to get all the way back down the Alabama Gang super stretch for the final time. The championship's going to be decided, but the race is too. Seipel, Theis, Hastings, Wagoner, they have no beef in this. Where do McCullough and Carlbon go? They got to make a move. McCullough jumps on Hennings' nose into 3. Triscaro's going to get hung out. Triscaro's got a half a lap for glory at Talladega.
Crashing out back, no issue there. He has a friendly behind him in Nick Seipel. Sterling Theis behind. The move from McCullough and Carlbon might be too little too late. It's all Michael Triscaro into the tri-oval. McCullough crashes. Carlbon up top. Hennings getting split. Michael Triscaro is your PGR Lite Series Season 1 champion. The 34, the head of PGR himself, Michael Triscaro, tonight's winner. And I mean, who would have thought Michael Triscaro, a comeback for the ages, is going to be the champion of PGR Lite season number 1. And what a just unfortunate for Carlbon and McCullough, just couldn't get organized back there. But it is all Michael Triscaro. Going to be celebrating and partying real hard tonight. Tonight's champion, the 34 of Michael Triscaro.
Oh, man. I mean, this is a feel-good run of all feel-good runs. I know he's not going to count it, and I know he's going to say, well, it's not a Thursday race. But technically now, Michael Triscaro is not only a champion of the Lite Series, he's technically a PGR winner if you want to think about it that way. Oh, he can't even get the car turned around to do a burnout here on the front stretch. He's trying. And this is going to be an all-timer, folks. You won't want to miss this celebration. He's been waiting on this one for a long, long, long time. Michael Triscaro is a champion in the Lite Series, and he'll burn it down here in front of the fans. This is a celebration long awaited for the 34.
Yeah, we're going to keep it up right here. Keep this graphic up for tonight's champion, Michael Triscaro. And I'll tell you what, I think a lot of people counted him out. I think a lot of people looked at guys like him, maybe Evan Carlbon, potentially even Josh McCullough. They were like, they're no match for Austin Green, Freddie Bazinez, and Wyatt Gray, and those kinds of drivers. And he rose above. He rose to the occasion. He definitely had some help from his teammate Nick Seipel there at the end, but at the end of the day, it is a championship and a long-awaited PGR victory. Yes, it's not the Intimidator Superspeedway Series, but at the end of the day, Michael Triscaro is a PGR winner. Finally. It is about time for the 34 machine. Well, let's go ahead and go through your finishing results here, Dawson, to what was a thrilling event. A thrilling championship race. Lots of controversy towards the end. A ton of just crazy racing. Never knowing who was going to win what. And I'll tell you what, I think we had a classic right here tonight. But we're going to pull up these results. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're good.
Michael Triscaro, the winner not just of the race, but also the champion. Nick Seipel will be finishing second. Sterling Thice, what a run for him in third. Hunter Hastings as well, fourth. Brian Hennings in fifth. Evan Carlbon, such a tough break for him. Not even in a cash spot, just one spot short when it looked like he had it in the bag. Josh McCullough as well, going to be finishing seventh. Adam Young up to eighth. Mark Vondell, ninth. And Dalton Steele will round out the top 10.
Ryan Schreckengost goes 11th tonight. William Rice finishes 12th. Michael Wingo 13th. James Waring in 14th. And Michael Barksdale in 15th. Chris Melton 16th. David Flanagan, what a horribly unfortunate end to his season. He'll finish 17th tonight. James Wagoner in 18th. Gordon Spain 19th. And Sean Corbett rounds out the top 20.
Kenneth Gallman in 21st, Wesley Lynch 22nd, Wyatt Gray 23rd, Bryce Delaban 24th, Ron Morris 25th, Axel Smith 26th, Austin Green in 27th, Tanner Kasinger 28th tonight, Freddie Bazinez, definitely one of the favorites. An unfortunate end for him in 29th position. Chase Mastretta for Nightmare Esports 30th, Ambrose Knable 31st, Jack Long 32nd, Stephen Miles 33rd, Brock Westmoreland 34th, Josh Jambroni 35th, and Steve Sizemore will round out the field here tonight. Well, we are going to go ahead and grab your top three finishers for interviews, and I guarantee you you're going to want to stick around for this one because we're going to have Michael Triscaro in the booth very, very shortly. Stick around. We will be right back. Welcome back to the final race of the PGR Lite Series, season number 1. Dawson Wise is going to stand by right now with your third place finisher, Sterling Thice.
Yeah, hey, Sterling, it's the boys in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah.
Well, third place finish for you. I can't even say hectic is the right word to use. Just insane finish. Everybody all over the place. At the end of the day, you look up, you're on the podium of a PGR race headed into the biggest week of the year. First off, how's it feel to be in this position?
It's pretty wild, actually.
Well, what a run for you here tonight. Now, I kind of do want to ask, again, these cars going to be used this week. You're going to be in the field for the PGR 500 that starts tomorrow night. So, I know the track's not the same. Is there anything tonight that you gained? Is there anything you picked up that you're going to use this week? Anything that you kind of use as motivation here going into the PGR 500?
Not really. I mean, that race is 30 laps there Wednesday night, so gonna be a lot different stacked heat too. So
Well, nonetheless, a third place finish for you here tonight in the Lite Series, leading into that race here in just a couple days, for example, or excuse me, for your heat race anyway. Before we let you go, a third place finish, do want to give you a chance. Give any shout outs, thank yous you'd like to give here for just a moment.
I gotta shout out the Rattled Cage podcast. That's on YouTube.
We'll certainly appreciate the time here talking to us. Congratulations on a third place finish. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. We will talk to you soon.
Alrighty, thanks.
Next
Sterling
up,
Theis,
we
our-
will.
oh.
Or go ahead. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, man. No, Sterling Theis, our third place finisher, will move now to the man who finished second and pushed his teammate in PGR. Well, teammate used loosely. Mike's the owner of Team PGR, but certainly stay on the back bumper of him to finish second. But also going to talk to him about this run that he had tonight. Nick Seipel with a heck of a run in second. Hey, Nick, it's the boys in the booth. You got a copy?
What's going on? I got you.
Well, first off, obviously, the last lap scramble there, you find a way in behind Michael Triscaro, and we kind of figured on those last couple restarts that you and Brian Hennings would move some mountains to maybe get the 34 in position to win. Take us through the mindset on the last restart of the race.
Yeah, with him up there, we were definitely trying to do whatever we could to get him in the best spot to finish as good as he could in the championship 4. We weren't gonna do anything too crazy, but it just kind of worked out how it did, and we ended up getting him to it.
Well, it's a good individual run for you as well. Up front, a lot of the race, you and Brian Hennings especially worked really well together. And now, that kind of run, I got to imagine now you're feeling pretty good going into this week, the PGR 500. Obviously, I think you and Brian Hennings kind of maybe put your names on the list of guys that we could be seeing race on Sunday afternoon. So what do you take from this race? What's the motivation? What's the confidence level here going into PGR 500 week?
Definitely a lot of confidence. Something I was really hoping would happen, just to have that confidence going into the heats and whatnot. And yeah, I just can't thank everyone that worked with me enough. Hennings, Triscaro, Westmoreland wrecked early, but he was spotting us through the whole thing. So it was definitely a lot of help, and thank those guys.
As we go forward in the PGR 500, obviously this run definitely helps the second place run. So before we let you go here and celebrate, any more shout outs or thank yous you'd like to get?
I already thanked everyone I need to thank. Thank you guys, of course, for broadcasting.
We appreciate the time talking to us here up in the broadcast booth. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. Good luck this week in the PGR 500, and we'll see if we're talking to you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Well, that is Nick Seipel, the man that pushed this man up to a championship here tonight. We're going to speak with him right now. Michael Triscaro, Landon, and Dawson, in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Boys, I got a freaking copy, man. Holy cow. I'm barely breathing, but I got a copy.
Well, you went out there and you won this championship, and I was saying it live on the broadcast. I think a lot of people probably counted you out of this one, considering some of the competition, Wyatt Gray and a few others, Austin Green, Freddie Bazinez, and they got caught up in adversity for you to come through, sneak through, and dominate this one towards the end. How did it feel?
Man, I don't know how to say this. This one does count. It might not count for a Thursday, but I mean, we're talking a championship here. We're talking about $650 with the race win and the championship. This was as big as it gets, and I mean, that's bigger than any payout on a Thursday night. So, and the field, like you said, you mentioned those drivers that I was racing tonight. Austin Green, Freddie Bazinez. I mean, he's won 3 races here. Oh, I mean, the list goes on. Wyatt Gray. I mean, he was up front all night long. The Jack Shack guys, I know they got in some trouble at the end, but it was a stout field, and I had to overcome adversity too. I got caught up in a couple wrecks. I missed about 5 or 6 other ones, and I don't know, man. I felt good tonight in this next gen. We've been practicing a lot for the 500, and it's a car that I'm not as comfortable in the other ones as, but I've been putting in the practice, and I think the other night when we did the PGR 500, it was like a simulated heat race. I ran up front in that one. I think I took like 4th or 5th, and I got a lot of practice and a lot of confidence after running that race, and I was running it for some really good guys. So when I came in here tonight, I actually thought I had a really good shot at this, and luckily for me, man, I came through at the end, and I had teammates up there, so I'll be thanking them here in a little bit.
Well, it definitely did work out for you in the end. The push from Nick Seipel definitely being the X factor for you towards the end of this one and securing your first PGR Lite Series championship, and I would venture to say your first PGR victory, albeit not on a Thursday. We're all well aware. But go ahead, talk us through the kind of momentum that this is going to bring you heading into the biggest week that PGR has ever had, PGR 500 week. Speak a little bit on how this win will motivate you and forward you the momentum into what you need to be successful in this event.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I'm obviously, like I mentioned, confidence and now momentum as well. I'm going to be in heat, I believe, number 4, and that's going to be on Wednesday night. And I got a really good heat. I got a couple drivers I'm going to work with in that heat. And now, I mean, monkey's kind of off my back as far as, a little bit of PGR stuff. And, I'm just going to go out there more free. I won a heck of a lot of money, like I said, here tonight. Probably just more than third place, I think we'll win in the 500. So, I'm going into this week almost on house money and free roll now. So that could be dangerous for a lot of drivers that I'm going to be going up against, But, it is a stricter plate. We're going to Daytona. It's going to be tighter than Dega, and anything could happen. The best of the best could get wrecked out and, it could end your day or end your week real quick. But, I got the confidence now in this car. I feel very comfortable with where I'm at setup-wise. And, I'm just going to carry this right on into Wednesday, man, and probably not be as nervous as I normally am here racing in this series that, I obviously own with Baker. So, man, I'm still catching my breath, man. I want to mention, too, I was talking to Dawson last night, and, I spoke into existence going bookend kind of like the John Ward's Little Dog, Big Dog series. I was the inaugural champion of that series and graduated from that, and here I am in the inaugural Lite Series here at PGR and champion here. But at least I got the race win. I wasn't even a race winner when I got his championship, but I'm going to graduate from this here in the first season, and I think it's safe to say I won't be any of these Little Dog, Big Dog series anymore. But it's been great racing here, and man, I'll tell you what, man, I got to shout out these teammates, man, of mine, Nick Sipple and Brian Hennings, man, and wow, those two guys. We brought Sipple. I told Davenport kind of runs the team now at PGR, and I told him go get Sipple a couple weeks ago. He did, and look at that, man. The dude just pushed me to a championship here tonight. And I'll tell you what, that guy's gonna have to get a fat tip because without him, I'm not a champion here tonight.
Yeah, 100%. I got one more final question before you give the rest of your thanks and your shout-outs. What are we drinking tonight, Mike? Because I know you've already got it racked up.
Oh, I'm racking up a Busch latte, baby. I'm gonna take this down. Might even have to dip into the basement. I got some tequila down there. Might have to fill me up a little margarita and sit there all alone, obviously, because everyone in the house is asleep. My wife actually heard me screaming and yelling, came down, and she was smiling. She knew I won, so I thought she was going to be pissed with all the screaming and yelling, but I think she knows how much money's going to float into that joint account here in a couple days, so she'll be happy.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead and give out the rest of your thanks and your shout-outs here tonight.
Yeah, man. Like I said, Team PGR, Nick Sipple, Brian Hennings, Brock Westmoreland was in this race, got wrecked out, but he was there helping spot. Obviously, Matt Baker, man, I couldn't run this series without him. He's taught me a lot. He's been on this service for a very long time, helped spot me through just about every race here in the last couple weeks here in this series and others, and just really learning from him how to run this car. Like I said, couldn't do it without him. Thank you guys for broadcasting, you learning to broadcast and doing this entire season and this series. Dawson as well, coming and joining you here tonight. Our entire broadcasting team at PGR eSports. It's been phenomenal, the growth we've had here since we kind of reformed this thing at the beginning of last year. So shout outs to you guys for sure. But everyone too, all the sponsors that are going to be in the PGR for the PGR 500, James Wagner, especially the title sponsor, Blanchard's towing, and we also have welding or whatever's towing, and we also have Jack Shack, man. Those guys, huge thanks to them for coming on board for the 500. All the other sponsors, but biggest thanks here tonight to the two sponsors of this series. The Jack Shack is one of them, and Danny Barnes. They donated money here to this championship fund for the season, and that's why it was able to get as big as it was able to, or as big as it was able to get to. Sorry, still kind of breathing heavy over here, but thanks to those two guys, Trev, Danny, the Jack Shack, Hyper Shack as they call it. Man, I appreciate those guys more than anything for sponsoring the series, and all the drivers that came out all series long, all 8 weeks, man. We had some really big fields that helped contribute to the championship pot. So, man, I'm just happy, ecstatic, and man, I hope I could carry this into Wednesday.
Yeah, 100%. Congrats again on tonight's win and championship. We appreciate you talking to us. Go celebrate.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Well, there we go, Dawson. Out from the ashes, Michael Triscaro, tonight's champion. And I think, honestly, who better to have won this championship at this time, this point in time in like Money Racing's history and PGR's history?
I mean, the feel-good win of all feel-good wins, first of all, but you make a good point. You know, in what's about to embark on, you know, the biggest week in his own personal, you know, promoting career, but also the biggest week in this promotion's history. I mean, for him to get that win leading into the week, what a great sign for him. Obviously, what a mood booster for him as he gets ready to kind of deal with the twists and turns and anxiety and all the, you know, stuff that goes into the behind-the-scenes work that we're about to go through this week. And it's a huge win. It's a win he's been waiting on for a really long time, and a championship he wanted really, really bad. And now you heard him say kind of house money. I mean, house money, he's not going to be as nervous running in the PGR 500 of all things. He said, oh, no, the nerves are gone now. I've got some house money. I'm good. I'm just going to go out and play more free. It could not have been more timely as we enter into a monumental, a historic week, not only here for PGR, but also for money racing, for super speedway racing as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And just what an event that was put on, to kind of crafted by Michael Triscaro, some others, to kind of put this series on to begin with. Something for more of the little guys, maybe gain a little bit of experience, some practice along the way. And I think we did have that through lots of caution flags and lots of other incidents, but overall, just a fun season in general to be a part of. I definitely appreciate the opportunity to sit up here in the booth and be able to broadcast and deliver this to the audience out here on a weekly basis every Monday night. We will be back for a season number 2. It's not known yet when that will be, but it will come back again, and I know I am certainly looking forward to it. Well, we congratulate Michael Triscaro again, tonight's champion. Thank you again to Dawson Wise, Matthew Baker for being tonight's race control, everyone at PGR eSports, and all of you for watching. We hope you have a very, very good night.